Naruto's Strongest Talent, Chapter 201-220. 201 Six Paths Immortal's Sealing Technique. Zhao. The anger in Du's eyes flashed away, but when he saw Chen's narrowed eyes, there was a hint of fear in his heart. He knew that he was not Chen's opponent at all. Chen shrugged and grabbed Zhao. Du. His smile became brighter and brighter. At this moment Du was severely injured and was completely at the mercy of Chen. Chen was about to speak when he saw someone approaching, and when Chen saw it, it was Nara Shikaku. After Chen participated in this battle, he handed over the command of the war to Nara Shikaku, and Nara Shikaku came to report the situation to Chen at this time. Chen, Sunagakur has been evacuated. This time they suffered heavy casualties. More than 1,000 ninjas died in battle, and some of them became our prisoners. Nara Shikaku whispered beside Tatsu. Chen nodded slightly. Victory. This sentence is exactly the description of the current situation. Nara Shikaku counted the number of people on the battlefield, and looked at Chen with a look of admiration. Chen, this time we really beat Sunagakur badly. The victory is entirely ours. I guess Sunagakur will not be able to do it for a while. Not enough. Chen shook his head. Ah. Nara Shikaku looked at Chen and was stunned for a moment, not understanding what Chen meant. Chen shook his head and said, although we have won this battle and Sunagakur has suffered heavy losses, it is not enough for Sunagakur to learn a painful lesson. Maybe after 2 years of Sunagakur's recuperation, there will be another war. Hearing Tatsu's words, Nara Shikaku immediately understood what Tatsu meant. You mean, keep attacking. Nara Shikaku also understood that Shikaku didn't know about the plan that Tatsu and others made with the 3 generations, but he quickly speculated about Tatsu's intentions. Of course. Chen said in a bewitching tone. Let's chase after the victory, drive straight into the hinterland of Sunagakur, attack the village of Sunagakur, and face the 3 generations of Kazekage. When Nara Shikaku heard it, there was also a touch of excitement in his expression. If it was really like what Chen said, it was really Nara Shikaku's heart was pounding, and he was extremely excited. If it succeeds, then the problem of Sunagakur will be completely solved. Shikaku feels happy and admires Chen even more. We didn't lose much. Probably hundreds of people were injured, and we basically still have the strength to fight. Nara Shikaku rode. Chen nodded slightly. I ordered everyone to repair in place and replenish their physical strength. The Sunagakur defense line has broken 5, and everyone will follow me to attack Sunagakur village. Chen's voice spread all over the battlefield, so that all the Konoha ninjas heard it. All of them were refreshed and looked at Chen in unison. Tatsu smiled and waved for the Konoha ninjas to rest. And most of the Konoha ninjas are still immersed in the joy of the victory just now. Where is there any mood to rest? The war lasted for so long, Konoha and Sunagakur, Iwagakure for too long time, although Konoha has always been dominant in the battlefield, but not like this big victory. A big victory, all Konoha shinobu felt proud and excited. Many people have even regarded Chen as the god of war, and they worship Chen extremely. Light of the stars, light of the stars, light of the stars. I don't know who started it first, almost on the battlefield of Konoha. All the ninjas started shouting Chen's name loudly. At first, they shouted to evacuate, but gradually the voices converged, forming a powerful force that shook the sky. Sanin, Minato, and Shikaku were all unmoved. Corner of the prisoner at Chen's feet. They are all shocked. If I had known that Chen was so strong, he would not have helped Sunagakur deal with Chen. At this time, Chiyo and others did not flee too far, and naturally they heard the cheers of the Konoha ninjas, especially the name of Chen. Chiyo couldn't help shivering, and the bad premonition in his heart became stronger and stronger. The young Chiyo sighed, not knowing if Sunagakur would be able to escape this disaster next. When the ninjas of Sunagakur heard the cheers of the Konoha ninjas, they were even more worried, sweating coldly, and they were all uneasy. Now that the battle has been defeated, what will happen next? The cheers of the Konoha ninja continued for a long time, and there was a smile on the corner of Chen's mouth, and he was in a good mood. Konoha's ninja unit began to repair, but Chen was almost recovered, and he ended the battle early. Chen grabbed the corner, all panicked. What do you want to do? In order to prevent you from making trouble again, I will seal the chakra of your whole body first. Chen said lightly. Zhao Duo was a little panicked, but when he heard that Chen was going to use the sealing technique on him, Zhao Duo was not too afraid. Kokaku, they all think that their strength is also very strong, and he knows most of the seal ninjutsu well, and he can lift the seal by himself. Thinking of this, Zhao, all of them are calm. Whoever thought Chen was communicating with the old man 6 paths? Old man, your grandmaster sealing technique should have the kind of sealing technique that can seal part of a person's strength. Teach me quickly. Chen communicated with the old man 6 paths. Stinky boy, every time you ask me to teach you ninjutsu, your attitude should be better. The old man of 6 paths said while complaining. Well, I have a way, maybe you can use the Kowloon lock. Kowloon lock seal. Chen was surprised. Well, this is a kind of sealing technique that can seal part of the enemy's chakra. The effect is similar to what you need, and it can seal part of a person's strength. 6 paths old man said. Very good. Next, the old man 6 paths handed over the spell and hand seal of this seal to Chen. As a ninjutsu genius, Chen is also very strong, and will soon become the master of this sealing technique. Chen looked at Zhao Du, snorted lightly, and quickly hand seal. Light blue chakras appeared on his fingers, and then Chen pressed directly on Zhao Du's back. Kowloon lock seal. Zhao all screamed, and there were dragon marks on the body. The dragon marks were all over the body, and it seemed that the Zhao was locked, just like the name of the seal of the 9 dragons lock. What kind of sealing technique is this? Zhao Duo is stunned, he has never seen this kind of sealing technique. Zhao Duo probed his body again, and suddenly beads of sweat fell, and he found that part of his chakra had been sealed. Please read the underlined version of the novel. Download Philo novel. The legendary name of 202 Chen. Zhao, they all looked at Chen with fear in their eyes. What the hell is going on? They all checked the whole body in fear, and found that they were dissatisfied with a layer of strange dragon marks, and chakra also inexplicably sealed a part of it, and his strength was greatly reduced. What kind of sealing technique is this? Zhao, I have never seen such a terrifying sealing technique before, and I am even more horrified. If it is an ordinary seal of 5 elements, seal of 4 signs, seal of 8 trigrams, etc. Zhao, they are all well informed, and he has a way to break them, but this seal technique of Chen is really too strange. He even listened to it. They never heard of it. How to crack it, and part of his chakra disappeared without a trace inexplicably. Zhao Du also greatly damaged his strength. Zhao, he estimates by himself, he is only around the peak of Jonin. His strength is strong. Zhao Duo looked at Chen in horror. What have you done to me? How can my strength be weakened so much? Chakra is sealed. Zhao, they were all sweating coldly, looking at Chen's eyes as if they were looking at the devil. Why, didn't you say that you can unlock the sealing technique yourself? Chen asked lightly with his hands on his shoulders, but in his heart he gave the old man 6 paths a compliment. Well done. Chen never thought that the Kowloon lock seal would have such a strong effect. Chen's original intention was to weaken Zhao Du's strength, and it seems to be working well now. Zhao Du's strength has been greatly reduced, far less than in its heyday, which is also easier for him to control. I set up a seal technique in your body, and your strength has been weakened by me. I am the only one in the ninja world who can help you unlock the seal, so don't waste your time. Chen wrote. This sentence is perfect. Everyone is terrified. He is a missing nin of Taki Ninja Village. He has offended many people in the ninja world, and even assassinated many powerful people for the bounty. Now that he has lost his strength, he is afraid that he will be chased and killed by the enemy. Chen slaps the corner Du's shoulder. If you want to break the seal, help me with things, serve me for 10 years, and I will let go after 10 years. 10 years, you have a good idea. Zhao, they all snorted and mocked with disdain. Chen smiled and said, your secret technique can steal your heart and you can live in this world almost forever. 10 years is just a short moment for you, compared to a moment and a half of freedom. It's nothing. Nothing. These words made a point. The corners of his mouth twitched, but he had to admit that this young man was right and completely hit his weakness. Zhao, everyone's mind changed, and in their hearts, heaven and man were at war. Chen smiled and added another fire. If you don't agree, I will directly execute you and collect the reward. Zhao, they all look embarrassed, and there is a look of resentment in their eyes, but they are not the opponents of this young man. He already has a psychological shadow on Chen at this time. When Chen confronted him from the very beginning, he saw through his ninjutsu at a glance, and after that, he was repeatedly moved by Master Chen, and he was extremely afraid of Chen for a long time, and now he has to admit it. You won. Corner, they are all downcast, said. Very well, you made the right choice. Chen rode. Zhao, they all sighed and said, what do I need to do next? You restore your strength first, then. The battle with Sunagakur should use your help. I'll let you know in the future. Chen's plan is to let Kokatsuki join Akatsuki to help Conan and the three of them, so that Akatsuki can grow and develop. After all, Akatsuki still lacks real masters. Although the potential of Conan's Trio 3 is unparalleled, their strength is still slightly inferior. Rang Zhao, it's a good choice to help out. Zhao, they all snorted softly, but I didn't expect Chen to call him immediately. Zhao, the anger flashed from his eyes, and he hummed, Uchiha Chen, you are so relieved, aren't you afraid of me going against the water? Reverse water. Chen glanced at the corner. Both glanced, a hint of coldness appeared in his eyes. It seems that you haven't figured out the situation yet, you are my prisoner now. If you dare to go against the water, no matter what. Wherever you hide in the ninja world, I will make your life worse than death. Chen's words were incomparably plain, but when it reached Zhao Du's ears, Zhao Du couldn't help shivering, and his heart was so throbbing that he didn't even dare to meet Chen's eyes. This kid, why do I feel weird everywhere? Zhao, I didn't even dare to look at Chen, and I was so frightened that I kept sighing in my heart, and finally accepted my fate. Okay, I'll help you for 10 years. Corner, all muffled. Chen smiled. Done. Of course, the so-called 10 years is just a statement of Chen fooling around with Zhao Du. After 10 years, Chen's strength will definitely be far greater than it is now. Compared to Zhao Du, I don't know how much stronger, and how to deal with Zhao Du. It's a matter of Chen's words. Zhao, they don't know Chen's thoughts at all, so they can only help Chen to die. Chen is also not afraid of Zhao Du. At this time Zhao Du's strength has weakened to the peak of Jonin, who is far from Chen's opponent. Zhao, both surrendered. Chen told Sanin the news. Sanin was overjoyed, all looked at Chen in surprise, and Orochimaru secretly admired Chen's method. Chen, you are getting more and more powerful now. Tsunade was amazed, his face flashed a gentle color. If it weren't for everyone watching on the battlefield, I'm afraid Tsunade would hold Chen's hand now. Chen smiled but didn't answer, just looked at Tsunade. The affection in their eyes was clearly visible. This battle is the most important, and it should be the first. I believe that the name of the legend will spread to the battlefield in the near future. It's really amazing. Jiraiya was also very emotional at the same time, looking at Chen with admiration. The name of the legend. Although Chen has a great reputation on the battlefield, it is still a little short of the reputation of the legend, but it is foreseeable that after this battle, Chen's reputation will rise rapidly, and it will change. Gut. Very scary. Like a legend. Chen was in a good mood when he heard Jiraiya say this. This battle was indeed full of legends. It defeated Sunagakur's defense line in one fell swoop. Sunagakur suffered heavy casualties. Chen, there is news about the 3 generations of Hokage-sama. At this time, Shikaku came up and said. 203 shocking Konoha, great credit. Tishin, news from the 3 generations of Hokage-sama. Shikaku walked up to Chen and said to Chen. Chen nodded slightly. For the 3rd generation of this battle, he had made sufficient preparations. Chen and others could also keep in touch with the 3rd generation of Hokage at any time, and the situation on the battlefield could be communicated to the Hokage village at any time. Hearing the news from Sandai, Chen was not surprised. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He nodded to show his understanding, and together with Sanin, let's see what Sandai has to say. A ninja of the Yamanaka clan appeared and came towards Chen. The ninja of the Yamanaka clan looked at Chen with respect, and said, Lord Chen, I am a perceptive ninja of the Yamanaka clan. Here is the information of 3 generations of adults. Very good. Chen nodded slightly, motioning for the Yamanaka clan ninja to come up with information. I saw the ninja of the Yamanaka clan nodded, took out a wireless device, and then used chakra to link with the wireless device, and quickly hand seal. Secret technique, projection technique. Soon, a blurry screen projection appeared in front of Chen and Sanin, and the person in the picture was the 3rd generation of Hokage. Chen immediately admired the Yamanaka clan's ninjas. Spreading distant images with chakra. The ninja of the Yamanaka clan frowned, bit Kiba and insisted, Master Chen, this secret technique consumes a lot of chakra, and I can't last long, please cherish the time. Understood. Chen knew that this kind of long-distance information transmission is very difficult, and I was afraid that the consumption of chakra was not low, and his face became serious immediately. Sanin was on Chen's side. Although the projection is blurry, Chen is enough to communicate with the 3 generations of Hokage. I only saw that Sandai seems to be on the top of the Hokage building. Next to Sandai, Danzo, Homura Mitokado and other high-level Konohas are there, and there are many Anbu ninjas and Jonin around. This is also Konoha's last strength. 3 generations of adults. Sanin all bowed to the 3 generations, and Chen also did it at will. 3rd generation of Hokage looked serious, smoked a pipe, and exhaled a puff of smoke, saying, What's the situation on the battlefield now? Chen briefly explained the situation on the battlefield, and when he heard the news of Konoha's victory, Chiyo and others were all severely injured. The serious expression of the 3 generations of Hokage immediately relaxed, and he was overjoyed. Sandai slammed the table and shouted excitedly, Okay, okay, okay. Tea splashed on the table, but the 3 generations didn't notice it, only excited. Even Danzo, Homura Mitokado, and the top executives of Konoha were also overjoyed, and they all looked at Chen and praised them. From this battle are really great. Our Konoha lost very little, while Sunagakure lost a lot. Chiyo, Ebizo, Aikito Jinchuriki, Column Force and other strongmen were all hit hard, although they escaped, but the combat power is also greatly weakened, pay us. Chen rode. These words took 3 generations, and Danzo and the others nodded. The results of this battle were far beyond their expectations, and even the 3 generations did not expect to be so successful. Chen, this time, you have made great contributions. 3 generations of laughter. Full face. Chen smiled slightly, but at this time it was quiet on the roof of the Hokage building. Everyone agreed with the words of the 3 generations of Hokage, and at the same time, there was a strong shock in their eyes. This feat is by no means ordinary. You must know that in the current situation, Chen was able to lead the ninja troops to break through the Sunagakure defense line and directly attack the Sunagakure village. Except for the time when Chen first hijacked Sasori, this was the first time in this war. Know what anyone can achieve, Chen can do. So all the ninjas in Konoha admire Chen, almost no one is amazed, and no one is surprised and shocked. Even Danzo, Homura Mitokado and others have suspicions about the Uchiha family. The people who were all at once were speechless and could only recognize Chen's achievements. Because Chen's achievements are all real, no one can ignore them. Even at this moment, if they object to Chen's achievements, they may be complained by some of Konoha's ninjas. This is the power of Chen. From today, I'm afraid there will be one more legend on the battlefield. Three Generations smiled slightly and felt very emotional. Seeing that Chen Kai established such a feat when he was a teenager, he couldn't help but admire it. It is indeed a legend. The gradual rise of Chen has made Konoha also greatly admired. This point is deeply cherished in the hearts of the Three Generations. Different from Danzo, he has no prejudice against Uchiha in his heart, and Chen established such a feat. He also values Chen very much, and naturally he does not hesitate to praise Chen under such circumstances. I will spread the news that you broke the Sunagakure line of defense throughout the village. I believe that you will be supported by the whole village. I am also very optimistic about your follow-up. Three Generations said with a smile. Don't worry. Chen was very confident. Okay, I'll wait for your good news. The next step is up to you, Master, just go ahead and do it. Three Generations smiled slightly, and then said, I will use my crystal ball to investigate the situation of the entire battlefield, and tell everyone in the village to pay attention to your next battle. Chen was slightly taken aback. The Three Generations are so talented. This means that the next battle will spread throughout the village, and it will even arouse the onlookers of the whole village. And the heroic appearance of Chen and others in battle will also be looked up by the whole village. This is the Third Generation encouraging Chen and others to use another method. Now that things have come to this point, Chen and the others cannot lose. I see. Chen nodded. Projection was blurred for a while, and only the voice of the Yamanaka clan's ninja trembled slightly. Lord Chen, I can't hold on anymore. Chen quickly made eye contact with the Third Generation, and saw that the projection had completely blurred. The ninjas of the Yamanaka clan were gasping for breath, their faces were slightly pale, and they were obviously exhausted. Chen smiled slightly, patted his shoulder, and let him rest. The Yamanaka clan of ninjas left, and Tatsu let the ninja troops renovate, preparing for the next battle to face the Three Generations of Cage. For automatic, see the underlined version of the novel. 204 Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. Chen asked everyone to repair, and he also began to rest. This battle is imperative and crucial, and Lien Chen doesn't want to be sloppy, so he is also in a state of rest. As for Zhao Du, he kept trying to break through the Kowloon chain seal, but in the end he found that no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break through the 9-dragon chain seal. This seal was too weird, and Zhao didn't have any clue. Really? Zhao, in the end, they had no choice but to give up, and with a sigh, they completely accepted their fate and accepted the saying that they worked for Chen for 10 years. Chen Zhangzhao Du's movements are in full view, revealing a faint smile. That from today onwards, the horns would completely surrender to him. As for Zhao Du's loyalty, Chen is also not worried at all. His current strength can make Zhao Du submit, not to mention after that, the gap between Chen and Zhao Du will only get bigger and bigger. Chen sit down in the field and recover chakra. At this time, Tsunade floated up and came to Chen's side with a beautiful and gentle smile on his face, and said softly, I'll help you heal with medical ninjutsu. Chen glanced at Tsunade in surprise. In the battle just now, Chen was inevitably injured, but with Yongdun in his body, Chen's body resilience has become super strong. Although it is not as good as Senju Hashirama's pervert, it is equally terrifying. Chen smiled and said, my injuries have basically recovered. Ah. Tsunade was very surprised. He used a chakra scalpel to investigate and found that Chen Guo had really recovered from his injuries, and there were relatively few scars on his body, not to mention other injuries. Your resilience is not inferior to mine, it's amazing. Tsunade shook his head with a wry smile on his face. Chen, this guy seems to be no less than her, always giving people surprises and surprises. Tsunade inherited Senju Hashirama's physique, although not as strong as Senju Hashirama, but comparable to Tatsu. Chen smiled and held Tsunade's soft cat. The two of them interlocked their fingers. Tsunade's face was slightly yuhi. She shyly wanted to break free, but Chen held her tightly. Chen held it. Chen smiled, and suddenly seemed to remember something. By the way, Tsunade, I remember that you have stored chakra on your forehead for several years, right? Well, that's my newly prepared ninjutsu. Tsunade smiled. She gently took off her forehead guard, and on the snow-white forehead, there was a diamond-shaped mark, which was Tsunade's yin seal. Tsunade only developed this ninjutsu in the last 2 years, and it was under Tatsu's accidental creativity. Tsunade had already stored a large amount of chakra in the yin seal at this time. This ninjutsu is similar to Grandma Mito's, and even more powerful. Tsunade sighed with a smile that Senju Hashirama's wife Uzumaki Mito also had a diamond mark on her forehead. Chen smiled. Tsunade studied the seal in advance under his inspiration, and developed the technique of Baihao, while Orochimaru and Jiraiya were both stimulated by Chen and stimulated their potential, and the two of them were also stronger. Chen and 3. Forbearance can be called the golden combination of Konoha at this time. After chatting with Tsunade for a while, Chen could feel the tension and excitement of the situation, and the surrounding Konoha ninjas were also in the state of these two contradictions. Nervous about the next battle, and I was excited about it. Chen smiled, seeing that everyone was almost resting, and the next step was the last step, going to Sunagakure village. This battle will attract much attention, and even the entire Konoha villagers will be able to see the live broadcast, and the opponent is the 3 generations of Kazekage of Sunagakure village, known as the strongest existence in the Kazekage of all dynasties. Original book, the 3rd generation Kazekage who was killed by the Sasori of the Red Sand and possessed the magic of magnetism. Chen thinks of the 3rd generation Kazekage, and his heart can't help but feel a little excited. As long as he defeats the 3rd generation Kazekage, the spiritual leader of the Sunagakure village, then Sunagakure will lose. Chen has enough self-confidence to confirm this. Standing up slowly, a smile flashed across Chen's mouth. He was about to issue an order when he heard the old man Six Paths suddenly say, "There is a situation for the kid." What's wrong? Chen can feel that there is a solemn breath in the words of the old Six Paths. Chen is very familiar with the character of the old man Six Paths. This old man has always been out of character, but it is rare to speak to Chen in such a solemn tone, so Chen is very strange. Six Paths old man, what is the situation? I only saw Six Paths immortal and said, I feel a trace of mother's breath, although it is very weak, but it is indeed mother's breath. And there is also the breath of Asura reincarnated chakra. What? Chengdu couldn't help but be surprised. The mother of the Six Paths immortal, isn't that the great Kagaya of the Hokage world? How could Kagaya's breath appear in this battlefield? Chen was startled. Could it be that Kagaya escaped from the seal? Thinking of this, Chen moved in his heart and narrowed his eyes. However, Chen immediately denied it. It was too difficult for Kagaya to escape from the seal. No one opened infinite Tsukuyomi. It was almost impossible for her to escape from the seal, so he immediately rejected it. With the breath of Kagaya and the reincarnation of Asura Chakra, who is Chen's heart moved, he suddenly thought of a candidate, and probably knew who it was. It must be Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. Black Zetsu is nominally created by Uchiha Madara's will, but in fact it is Kagaya's will, and White Zetsu is a product created by Uchiha Madara using Senju Hashirama's cells in yin and yang escape, so Six Paths immortal only people can say that there is chakra reincarnated as Asura. The fact that Black Zetsu and White Zetsu appeared on the battlefield was unexpected. But it is reasonable to think about it. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu are now loyal to Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara must be concerned about the situation of the battlefield in the dark, just like he gave Rinnegan to Nagato. So it is normal for Uchiha Madara to send Black Zetsu and White Zetsu out to monitor the situation on the battlefield. Old man, can you sense where that breath is? Chen asked. The old man of Six Paths pondered for a while, and seemed to be trying to perceive the positions of Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. Cough, and the automatic monthly pass will reward the horse. Thank you, Watermelon. 205 Eyes of Uchiha Madara. Immortal Six Paths sensed it for a while, and after a while, shook his head and said, no way, the other party is very vigilant, and it is very far away from us. People who have the breath of Mother and Asura are not weak, if I can easily perceive them when my strength is at their peak, but now I can't. The Six Paths sage shook his head slightly. Chen understands that both Black Zetsu and White Zetsu have basically drilled into the ground, and they are very good at concealing aura, and it is indeed extremely difficult to find. White Zetsu is just that. Black Zetsu is something created by Kagaya Haim. It exists specifically for Kagaya's resurrection, and there must be means to save his life. The current Black Zetsu and White Zetsu are like the eyes of Uchiha Madara, closely monitoring every move on the battlefield. It's a bit of a hassle. Chen whispered. Boy, looking at you, you seem to know who this breath is. The Six Paths old man moved slightly in his heart and asked Chen. Chen nodded slightly. Well, I know, it should be the result of a senior in the Uchiha family. Chen means something. Uchiha. The Six Paths old man fell into contemplation, pondering the three words that resounded in the ninja world. His tone seemed a bit complicated. Even Black Zetsu and White Zetsu appeared, and the situation on the battlefield was getting more and more mixed. Old man, if they are near us, you should be able to fully perceive them. Chen asked. Of course. The Six Paths old man didn't hesitate. That's good, help me pay attention to the situation. Chen rode. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu were like Uchiha Madara's eyes, silently monitoring everything in the ninja world. Although Black Zetsu and White Zetsu appeared on the battlefield, they were definitely just observing the situation and would not easily expose and interfere, so Chen was still at ease. Coupled with the existence of the Six Paths old man, it is enough to handle any situation. The old man of Six Paths blew his beard and stared. Stinky boy, are you actually treating me as free labor? Cough cough, aren't you before? PFF'd, the apprentice was accidentally accepted. The old man of Six Paths and Chen bickered for a while, and Six Paths pondered. The smell of Mother appeared unexpectedly in the battlefield. It's really surprising, it seems that Mother also left behind before being sealed by me and Hamura last time. I hope that Mother's seal will not be loosened, otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. The seal is loose. Chen Wei was stunned. Isn't Kagaya Haim able to come out only by summoning the God Tree and starting infinite Tsukuyomi? Not so. The old man of Six Paths shook his head gently. The old man and the old man's younger brother Hamura defeated the mother together and sealed her. But my mother's strength is super strong and she is immortal, and even a mere seal can only trap her for a while, and cannot seal her permanently. It is so. Chen understands. Think about it, but the old man Six Paths and Otsutsuki Hamura's mother swallowed the existence of the fruit of the God Tree. How can Kagaya Haim be sealed so easily? That is, Six Paths and Hamura jointly seal. It probably won't be sealed for too long. That is, regardless of. Uchiha Madara uses infinite Tsukuyomi in the original book. Kagaya Haim will get out of the seal one day. Uchiha Madara uses infinite Tsukuyomi, but this time is just advanced. Thinking of this, Chen has a sense of urgency. In the future, the enemy he will face is Kagaya Haim. Although Chen is almost immortal, although Chen does not intend to save world peace according to the old Six Paths practice, Chen even founded Akatsuki, intending to take the entire ninja world in your pocket and become the master of the Hokage world. And Kagaya Haim is an unavoidable hurdle, no matter what. Either way we'll end up with this final fight. As soon as it comes, be safe. For now, let's settle the war first. Chen shook his head, expelled the thoughts from his mind, and faced the current war with all his strength. Even Uchiha Madara noticed the war. It's getting more and more interesting. Chen secretly said in his heart, Chen is not afraid of Uchiha Madara's participation. The current Uchiha Madara is not. He is at his peak. The current Uchiha Madara still needs to rely on the chakra of Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, to maintain his vitality. As for Black Zetsu and White Zetsu, Chen wished they were in front of him, and Chen could also take the opportunity to get rid of Black Zetsu. Black Zetsu is the product of Kagaya, Madara's conspiracy. If there is a chance to get rid of Black Zetsu, Chen will not hesitate. Chen cleared his mind and looked at the battlefield again, a strange feeling already in his heart. It was as if Uchiha Madara was watching the battlefield, watching every move of the ninja world. In the battlefield, there is also a pair of eyes, which are the eyes of Uchiha Madara. Never mind. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. Chen put this matter aside for the time being, and Black Zetsu and White Zetsu didn't provoke him. The Konoha ninjas had subsided a lot, and they were all looking at Chen with hope, waiting for Chen to give orders. In particular, Chen also saw the figures of Ino Shikacho and Minato in it, and they all looked at Chen and waited for his words. The most exciting in this war are Ino Shikacho and Minato, and the four-person four also showed their extraordinary talents in the war and quickly rose to prominence. Especially Minato. Minato's Hiraishin technique has become more and more proficient, and his strength has improved very fast. Even Jiraiya is full of praise. War is also a catalyst for genius. Chen smiled slightly, and also stood up and said, "Everyone listen to my order," began to prepare for battle, and set off towards Sunagakure village with all their strength. Yes. Everyone's eyes lit up, and the ninja troops assembled quickly, one by one, showing extraordinary speed. Directly attack the village of Sunagakure and face the three generations of Kazekage. This is the end of this battle. Thousands of ninjas in Konoha acted together, and the strength displayed is definitely not small. Result. Please automatically please everyone. 206 because he is too strong. Please, ask for a reward for monthly pass. Konoha's ninja army was ready to go, and it didn't take long for thousands of people to gather, all looking at Chen. Smile appeared on the corner of Chen's mouth. Everyone obeys the orders, moves forward at full speed, and targets Sunagakure village. Yes. Thousands of ninjas acted at the same time, sensing ninjas opening their way ahead, and the large force began to enter the hinterland of Sunagakure village. After leaving the land of rain, the rainy weather in the sky finally disappeared, replaced by a hot and dry world, with sand everywhere, which is also the symbol of Sunagakure weather. However, the bad weather did not hinder Chen's progress in the slightest. Chen and the others quickly reached the land of wind and hurried all the way. The moment when Chen waited for the ninja troops to enter Sunagakure, from the border between the land of wind and the land of rain, a figure emerged from the middle of the land. This figure was glowing green all over, and it looked like a tree branch, which gradually opened and appeared. A tall and thin figure revealed this man's face. This man's face was half black and half white, with a strange look on his face. Looking at the direction where Chen and the others were leaving from a distance, his face showed a thoughtful look. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. These two guys really appeared on the battlefield. They waited for Chen to lead the ninja army to go away completely, and then they appeared. It's really dangerous. I can feel a powerful force perceiving us, and I was almost discovered the hiding place, but fortunately I found it early. Black Zetsu smiled and whispered. No way. Although that kid is powerful, he may not be able to find us. Are you being too cautious? White Zetsu disagreed. Of course the boy he was talking about was Chen. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu saw Chen's battle just now in their eyes, and they knew that Chen's strength was terrifying, and they were even more interested in Chen's pair of Sharingan. As Chen guessed, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu were sent to the battlefield by Uchiha Madara to investigate intelligence. Uchiha Madara is already old, and although he will not die, he relies on Gedo Mazo, demonic statue of the outer path, to replenish chakra, and even gave his Rinnegan to Nagato, so he is in a weak state. In such a situation, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu are like Uchiha Madara's eyes, scouting for Uchiha Madara to understand the overall situation of the ninja world. This war is coming to an end, and of course Uchiha Madara is very concerned about it. Black Zetsu snorted coldly. How naive. That kid opened Manchikyo Sharingan's eyes. This is the third person in the Uchiha family except Madara, Sama and his younger brother. Well, that's Susanoo just now. Even I was startled. This terrifying potential may still be above Madara, Sama. Thinking of Tatsuna's golden Susano, White Zetsu jumped slightly. Black Zetsu's voice was low. I'm afraid it's more than that. Ikenbochin has a very mysterious and unusual power, and it can even make me feel a big threat. Well, it's not like what you said. White Zetsu was very surprised, and his heart froze, and when Black Zetsu said this, he felt that Chen was unusual. Black Zetsu could also feel the faint scent of the 6 paths immortal on Chen's body, and instinctively felt the threat of Chen, so he was quite afraid. We can only follow them from a distance, and try not to be in front of that Uchiha Chen. Appear, in case of an accident. Black Zetsu rode. I see. This kid has great potential, but unfortunately he doesn't seem to be someone who can control like Nagato, otherwise Madara-sama would probably like him too. White Zetsu thoughtful. Black Zetsu said in a low voice. Well, that's true. The light of this kid on the battlefield is really too bright. It can be seen that he is a very assertive genius, not as easy to control as Nagato, but he has the ability to open Mangekyo Sharingan's eyes. Ah, and the age of opening eyes is earlier than Madara-sama. Because he's too strong. White Zetsu whispered. Not only is he strong, but he also has an independent mind. He is not the type that can be controlled. In comparison, Nagato is much simpler. Hey, it's really troublesome. Facing this kid, it's not easy to get information. White Zetsu and Black Zetsu talked for a while, and when they saw Chen and the other ninja troops finally walking away, they slowly followed. After just now, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu are becoming more cautious. Chen's discussion of Black Zetsu and White Zetsu is not clear, but it is getting closer and closer to Sunagakur village. After half a day, the village of Sunagakur is in sight. Wind was blowing, along with gusts of wind and sand, and the climate of the surrounding desert was drier. After almost all the ninjas had replenished their water sources, Chen began to prepare for the next battle. Chen asked all the Konoha ninjas to prepare the detonating talismans and unified the battle management. Shikaku helped Chen manage the ninja troops, and some other elite jonin led the squads, just waiting for Chen to give an order. Chen knew that he had let Chiyo and others escape before, and now Sunagakur must be ready to fight, but before Chiyo and others were all hit hard, and now Sunagakur's power is at its weakest, Chen has absolute confidence. Front of it is the main gate of Sunagakur village, with valleys on both sides. Only a small road in the middle can extend into it, which looks like a line of sky. Sunagakur's terrain is easy to defend and difficult to attack, but Chen expected this situation, and he had already prepared enough detonating charms for the ninjas. The distance, you can faintly see the Sunagakur ninja troops gathering, which are also waiting for you. Lord Chen, there are nearly 1,000 Sunagakur ninjas ahead, and the leader is the 3 generations of Kazekage, who should be the last main force of Sunagakur. A ninja from the Hyuga clan reported the situation, and in such a battlefield, the role of Byakugan cannot be ignored. Very good, the other side's ninja strength and the number of top powerhouses are not as good as ours, no matter what. Either way we win. This battle is imperative, all of you will be passed on to the village, and you can only win, not lose. Chen said lightly, making the Konoha ninjas all refreshed. The Konoha ninjas all nodded in unison, their eyes shining brightly. Go, attack! Chen shouted loudly and sounded the horn for the final attack. Ah, please set up automatic subscription for children's shoes who like to fatten up. This is very important. Watermelon's automatic subscription is only more than 100 now. Thank you so much. 2.07 million attention, must not lose. Following Chen's command, thousands of Konoha ninjas rushed out and finally moved. Chen waved his arm, a special Konoha ninja rushed forward and started throwing the detonating charm. I only saw thousands of detonating charms mixed with chakra rushing out, and the ninjas acted together, and the destructive power caused is absolutely beyond imagination. For a while, along with the sandstorm, I saw the explosion of the detonating talisman, and there was a continuous loud noise. The stone walls around Sunagakur village were all blasted, and the boulders fell, and the loud noise was continuous. piled up like a mountain. A road appeared in front of Chen and others, and the stone wall of Sunagakure village was broken, which was shocking. The power of the thousands of explosive talismans just now cannot be underestimated. Seeing this scene, Chen's heart moved. Sure enough, in this kind of siege, you should still find a large area to attack, but unfortunately the power of the detonating talisman is still unsatisfactory. If the Deidara of Akatsuki's art is explosion, in the future now, the village of Sunagakure can be destroyed in an instant. It's a pity that Deidara hasn't been born yet. Well, he must be tricked into Akatsuki at that time. Chen thought. Kokaku, they are all members of Akatsuki now. Although they were threatened by Tatsuki to enter, they are also one of them. As for the other members of Akatsuki, Chen, of course, can't let go, such as Deidara, such as Sasori. The explosion of thousands of detonating talismans directly exploded the stone wall, and Sunagakure village was completely exposed in front of Chen, and the ground shook. Awe-inspiring. After the stone wall exploded, the whole picture of Sunagakure village appeared in front of me, and I only saw unique buildings made of chakra mixed sand. The leader was a man dressed in white clothes and a white cloak, probably less than 40 years old, with dark blue hair. His eyes were piercing, and there was a gleam of light. 3 generations of Cage. Chen recognized each other at a glance, and at this time, 3 generations of Cage's eyes also followed, and their eyes crossed in midair. 3 generations of Cage. Uchiha Chen. The two looked at each other, their eyes were a little dignified, and there was an abnormally tense atmosphere spreading. What a strong chakra! Boy, these 3 generations of Cage seem to be very strong. It is rare to see such a strong chakra on the battlefield. The 4-tailed Jinchuriki column force I saw last time was him. Definitely a formidable opponent. The 6 Paths Fairy reminds Chen Dao. Well, I know. Hearing this, Chen became more cautious. The 4-tailed Jinchuriki column power is not the same as the 3rd generation Cage. The old purple's chakra power comes from the 4-tailed, and Cage is his own strength, but he can get such an evaluation as the 6 Paths Immortal, which is enough to prove his terrible. 3 generations of Cage are definitely the strongest other than Hanzo that Chen has encountered so far. If the Cage-level powerhouses are also divided into strong and weak, then the strength of the leader of the Rain Country Hanzo is a high Cage level, and the 3 generations of Cage are estimated to be more than half. Zhang is a little weaker, but it's not as good as Yu Chen and Tsunade, who are currently at the elementary Cage level. Of course, relying on Mangekyo and Susanoo, Tatsu's strength cannot be simply calculated by level. But despite this, you can still see the power of the 3 generations of Cage. Chen is a little curious when he sees the 3 generations of Cage. The 3 generations of Cage are so strong that they are even called the strongest Cage in all dynasties. The 3 generations of Cage who died must have used a tricky method. Chen secretly judged in his heart. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru 3, all stood beside Tatsu, and looked at Cage 3 from a distance. Next to Cage 3, stood Chiyo, Jinchuriki column Riki and Ebizo, 3 of them, but all 3 were pale, and they seemed to have suffered serious injuries, and their combat effectiveness was greatly reduced. As the perceptive ninja of the Hyuga clan said, there are still thousands of ninjas in Sunagakure, all standing behind Cage 3. Apart from the thousands of ninjas, the rest of the ninjas in Sunagakure village are all Chunin and Genin, which is totally nothing to worry about. Chen, Orochimaru and I will deal with Chiyo's old guys in a while, and let us deal with them all. You and Tsunade deal with Cage, the 3rd generation. Jiraiya whispered beside Chen. Okay, I see. Chen nodded. All the ninjas in Konoha are in preparation, especially the perceptive ninjas, which are all in place, and the situation in the battlefield is quickly transmitted by chakra and radio to the Hokage building of 3 generations of Hokage. On the Hokage building, all the Konoha executives and ninjas gathered together. At the same time, outside the Hokage building, the villagers of Konoha had already surrounded it for 3 floors and 3 floors, all waiting eagerly, waiting for the news uploaded by the Hokage building, and always paying attention to the situation on the battlefield. Inside the Hokage building, the crystal ball was placed at the very center, and the 3 generations of Hokage, Danzo and others were sitting in a group, and outside stood Anbu and other parts of Konoha Jonin, with a clear distinction. The image on the crystal ball lit up in vain, and the 3rd Hokage smoked his pipe for a while, standing up abruptly, staring at the slightly blurred image on the crystal ball. His eyes moved slightly. It's the 3rd generation of Cage. Chen and the others have already attacked Sunagakure village. As the 3 generations said this, everyone present was slightly excited at first, and then became nervous. They all held their breaths and stared at the image on the crystal ball without blinking. It really is the 3rd generation of Cage. As long as this battle is won, Konoha will have a chance to win this battle. But Danzo's eyes lit up and said. Everyone nodded in unison, all excited. Konoha executives and Konoha villagers are closely watching the battle, and tens of thousands of people in Konoha village are constantly monitoring the situation. The real eye-catching 208 War 3 Cage. The passages around the village of Sunagakure were blown up, revealing the power of the explosion of thousands of detonating charms. And 3 generations of Cage face off. Konoha ninjas face off against Sunagakure ninjas. Scene was quiet for a while, but from Konoha village to Hokage, down to the villagers, they were watching the war nervously, with more than 10,000 followers. This battle can be described as a battle of fate. Neither side can retreat, neither can lose. Sunagakure has run out of ammunition and food, and only the last counterattack is left, and Konoha must rely on this war to win the Ninja World War. 3 generations of Cage. At this time, Chen finally spoke up. 3 generations of Cage narrowed his eyes, looked at Chen, and said coldly, I don't know what advice the famous Starlight has. 3rd generation of Cage's voice was indifferent, like a 9 secluded hell, which made people shudder. The chakra on his body surged out like a tide, which was shocking. Konoha ninjas behind Chen also frowned slightly. After all, the other party was the supreme leader of Sunagakure, and his imposing manner made many Konoha ninjas shocked. 3 generations of Cage-sama. I have always heard that the 3 generations of Cage in Sunagakure village are the strongest among the Cages of all dynasties, and have a unique Kekkei Genkei. Able to convert the unique highly condensed chakra group into magnetism. I would love to see it. Chen said lightly. Chen's voice was calm, not at all afraid of the coldness in Cage's tone of 3. These plain words calmed down many Konoha ninjas who were thinking of quitting. The confrontation between Chen and the 3 generations of Cage has already begun from the language. 3 generations of Cage are arrogant and humbly said, I have heard that the light of the stars has made great achievements on the battlefield, and I have always wanted to see it. I hope you won't be so easy to beg for mercy in a while. 3rd generation of Cage said so. A cold light flashed in Chen's eyes. It seems that the 3rd generation of Cage is very confident. Atmosphere is getting more and more tense. The swords are drawn, and this war may break out at any time. Many ninjas on both sides held their breath, and gradually entered a state of battle under the verbal confrontation between Tatsu and Cage of the 3rd generation. Is it true that the 3 generations of Cage are called the strongest in all generations, and I also want to know if this title is not worthy of the name. Chen said lightly. The 2 looked at each other as if there were sparks in the air. Looking for death. 3 generations of Cage sneered, and immediately started. Only to see that all over his body, a stream of chakra burst out like a substance, making Chen's pressure double in an instant. Jident magnet style, sand and iron rain. 3rd generation of Cage formed a flash, and it was completed quickly, showing a strong force, only to see the 3rd generation of Cage using chakra to form a strong repulsion, which made the flying stone like electric speed to launch towards the Chen area. The speed of the sand iron was unbelievably fast, and it came suddenly like a strong wind. Chen squinted his eyes and said to everyone, be careful, don't get caught in the sand and iron. Hit, otherwise this sand iron enters the human body, enough to instantly paralyze the person, it is very difficult. Chen's reminder made all the Konoha ninjas face a formidable enemy, and Cage's expression changed slightly, probably because Chen actually had a certain understanding of his ninjutsu. Chenyan saw the arrival of these sand irons, and without stopping, he quickly hand-sealed, sweetened water-style water formation wall. The powerful water attribute chakra flooded the surroundings, resisting in front of everyone, slowing down the speed of the sand iron, and the ninjas around Chen all fled when they saw this. Chen Yi took advantage of the body's shape to dodge, and finally avoided the attack. Chen's hands didn't stop at all, only to see more than a dozen shuriken bundled with detonating talismans, which were thrown out by Chen, blocking every corner of the 3-generation Cage and attacking him. Means, also want to win me. 3 generations of Cage remained unchanged. In his eyes, Chen's shuriken technique is of course a small skill of carving insects, which is not a cause for concern. Seeing a dozen shuriken attacking, the 3rd Cage moved and grabbed the gap to dodge. However, a smile appeared on the corner of Chen's mouth. Really, I never said that I would use the shuriken technique to defeat you, I just need to drive you to where you should be. This, the pupils of the 3 generations of Cage shrank suddenly. He immediately understood the purpose of Chen's use of the shuriken technique just now, and Chen had clearly left a gap on purpose to let him appear in that position. Immediately afterwards, the 3rd generation of Cage saw Yuhi flashing in Chen's eyes, and the shape of a 3-lobed meniscus appeared. Amaterasu. Chen's right eye chakra condensed and exploded out, within the point of view, just aimed at the 3 generations of Cage. Under normal circumstances, the powerhouses of the 3rd generation Cage move very fast, so Chen will use the shuriken technique to feint, deliberately let the 3rd generation Cage seize the gap to avoid, and predict the position of the 3rd generation Cage. Then use Amaterasu to attack. Amaterasu. As if the black hellfire spread to the world, the 3 generations of Cage were caught off guard, let alone others. Once again, Tatsu's Amaterasu descends. The black fire of Amaterasu made Cage's pupils shrink slightly. He felt the horror of the flames. Cage didn't dare to be careless. He immediately shouted, "Jident magnet style, sand iron defense." This is the absolute defense of the 3rd generation of Cage. Countless iron sands form an iron sand ball with absolute defense. Under the magnetic state of iron sand, any weapon made of steel cannot have any effect. It is better than the ordinary sand ball defense of Gaara. One of the best. The absolute defense of the 3rd generation Cage. Amaterasu attacked, the black flames burned, and the 3rd generation Cage was surrounded by a sand iron defense. The powerful defense was displayed. The 3rd generation Cage relied on the absolute defense of sand iron, and even I resisted Amaterasu. I only saw Amaterasu burning on the sand iron. The sand iron is incombustible. Although the black flame is strong, it burns very slowly. Amaterasu's blow was resisted by the 3 generations of Cage. Cold light flashed in Chen's eyes, and it was the first time that his Amaterasu had been blocked like this. Ask for a reward for the monthly ticket. 209 Shuriken thrown out. It was the first time Amaterasu had been resisted like this. However, Chen probably understood the reason in his heart and accepted the result. In the 5 shadow talks in the original book, Gaara once used the absolute defense of sand to resist Sasuke's Amaterasu, and the 3 generations of Cage's Jident magnet style have better defense than Gaara's sand, and can resist Amaterasu. As expected. Tatsu's Amaterasu actually all. Tsunade looked startled, and immediately stood beside Tatsu, also appearing at the same time. Tsunade and Tatsu fought against the 3 generations of Cage, and the others were not idle. Konoha and Sunagaku's ninjas fought together, Orochimaru and Jiraiya teamed up to easily suppress Chiyo and others, and even Minato also shined in the battlefield. At this time, a figure appeared in the extreme distance, showing the state of a tree, and emerging from the ground, it was Black Zetsu and White Zetsu. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu were also monitoring the battlefield, They saw the scene of Amaterasu just now. White Zetsu whispered. Amaterasu, what a terrible technique. The 3 generations of Cage are really powerful. There is actually a way to stop it. After all, it is a Cage-level character, and it is also the strongest Cage of the 3 generations of Cage. Black Zetsu agreed. This battle, Uchiha Chen is in danger. I don't know how he will deal with the 3 generations of Cage. Wait and see. In fact, I'm more optimistic about Uchiha Chen. Is it? Black Zetsu and White Zetsu are also carefully observing the situation. They are very far away from the battlefield, but relying on their extraordinary perception ability, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu can still observe the battle. They are also looking forward to this battle, watching from the sidelines. Tsunade stood by Tatsu's side, fighting side by side with Tatsu. Both of them looked solemn, and the 3 generations of Cage in front of them were indeed difficult to deal with, and they all knew this. It can even be said that the key to this battle is whether or not the 3 generations of Cage can be defeated. The 3 generations of Cage are the spiritual leader of the Kingdom of Wind and the supreme leader of Sunagaku. As long as the 3 generations of Cage are defeated, the battle is almost over. Other hand, if it is defeated by the 3 generations of Cage, it will be difficult for the Konoha ninja to win Sunagaku. After all, this is the village of Sunagaku, and the right time and place are on Sunagaku's side. The current 3-generation Cage was completely different from the one he was made into Sasori's puppet. Cage made into a puppet by Sasori has many secret techniques that Sasori does not need to use, and its flexibility is far less than that of the deity. After all, puppets need to be manipulated. Even Sasori's puppet technique is superb, but it cannot be compared with the real 3-generation Cage. Cage that was made into a puppet has been greatly reduced. And Chen and Tsunade face, but the 3 generations of Cage. Jiden, magnet style, sand iron tieni. 3rd generation of Cage let out a low voice, shoo. Only 3 generations of Cage were seen flying high in the sky, and the sand iron turned into the wings of a giant bird, allowing him to fly in the sky at a very fast speed. Chen is no less inferior, and it is also controlled by the gravity of the funnel, flying in the sky. And Tsunade is not to be outdone, the art of psychic. The giant psychic beast slug appeared, and the slug appeared under Tsunade. Its body was dozens of meters long, and it was a giant to assist in the battle. At the same time, a slug split out and jumped directly onto Chen's shoulder, always ready to help Chen heal and restore chakra. Slug, with mucus acid. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Slug saw the 3rd generation of Cage. It knew the strength of the enemy in front of him, and it did not dare to neglect it. It spit out viscous acid, and a strong attack of viscous acid came out with a huge range, covering the position of the 3rd generation of Cage. 3rd generation of Cage immediately noticed that the state was not good. If it was breathed out by sticky acid, even the ninjas in the village would suffer, and the buildings in the village would also think of this. The 3rd generation of Cage did not hesitate. Jiden, magnet style, sand and iron formation. Sand and iron barrier. This is a wide range of ninjutsu. Even among the 3 generations of Cage, this ninjutsu is considered super strong. I could see was the sand and iron all around, forming an enchantment with a huge range. This enchantment was hundreds of meters long, and it also acted as an absolute defense, resisting the viscous acid attack of the lower slug. The viscous acid spit out on the barrier, making a chi-chi sound, and it was actually slowly corroding the iron sand, but the corrosion rate was extremely slow. The 3rd generation of Cage iron sand is very special. Nyanduchin and Tsunade's attack, the 3 generations of Cage's expression finally became more solemn, and also realized the crisis this time. Enough to attract the attention of the 3 generations of Cage, not to mention Tatsu and Tsunade teaming up. 3 generations of Cage, it seems that even you can't calmly deal with the situation in front of you. Chen smiled, flying high in the sky, while condensing chakra, preparing for the next Susanoo. Before Chen and Zhao, Both used Susanoo during the battle, and the pupil's strength is still recovering. Even if Chen has yin and yang in his body, he can't use it too often, otherwise there is still the danger of blindness. Third generation of Cage's face was ashen, and he snorted coldly, "Don't look down on people. Jidin, magnet style, sand iron mountains." I saw that the iron sand quickly gathered into small hills, with strong gravity, and attacked Chen and Tsunade. The hill formed by the iron sand is very heavy. Meatloaf. And there are dozens of sand and iron mountains in front of you. Just looking at it makes your scalp tingle, not to mention what it will look like when it hits a person. It's a nightmare. Chen was slightly apprehensive. He had never seen the third generation of Cage use this ninjutsu in the original book. This should be one of his unique skills. Futon, wind style, Rasenshuriken. At this time, Chen's mind moved, a sizzling sound appeared, a chakra spiral formed visible to the naked eye, and the high-speed rotation power of Futon, wind style, was also injected. After this period of growth, Chen has eliminated the side effects of Rasenshuriken and was able to throw Rasenshuriken. Rasenshuriken was thrown by Chen, facing the sand iron of the last 3 generations of Cage. A deafening explosion followed. Please support the watermelon. Please read the underlined version of the novel. Please download the Phyloo novel. 210 3 generation Cage. Ask for a monthly pass. Rasenshuriken was thrown out by Chen. The hurricane was overwhelming, mixed with high-speed spinning chakra, and countless wind blades were spinning, making a sizzling sound, falling into the ears of everyone in the field. Inside the Hokage building. 3 generations of Hokage, Danzo and the others suddenly stood up and looked at the mirror image in the crystal ball in astonishment. The last time he used this ninjutsu against Hanzo, it was only in an incomplete state. Now it seems that it has been completed. Danzo's eyes flashed with amazement, and he exclaimed, unable to believe it. Third generation of Hokage was a little excited. With his eyesight, of course, he could see the power of this Rasenshuriken. Sizzle. Chen threw the Rasenshuriken and collided directly with the hills formed by sand and iron, making a huge roar. The roar pierced the eardrum, extremely sharp. An explosion-like sound roared, and the deafening sound caused Chen and Tsunade to temporarily block their hearing with chakra. Rasenshuriken rotates at a high speed and is triggered by an explosive sound, causing the sand and iron of 3 generations of Cage to shatter and become powder. After Rasengan is injected into Futon, wind style, the power is not as simple as 1 + 1, but a geometric increase. Otherwise, Naruto would not use Rasenshuriken as a killer in the original book. 3 generations of Cage's pupils shrank. His iron sand technique was actually broken by this ninjutsu. The countless tiny wind blades composed of Rasenshuriken shattered the sand and iron-like hills and turned into powder. Even the 3 generations of Cage had no choice but to amazed at the power of this ninjutsu. His eyes showed shock, and his eyes looked at Chen with a slightly complicated look. Why is such a generation of geniuses not from Sunagakur village? After Chen used Rasenshuriken, chakra also consumed a lot, but in comparison, Jidin, magnet style, that can break 3 generations of Cage, the harvest is also good. This scene fell in the eyes of the 3 generations of Hokage, Danzo and others, and felt even more shocked and excited. According to this situation, it seems that this time the 3 generations of Cage will be defeated. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu in the distance also have a panoramic view of this scene. White Zetsu said solemnly, "It's a terrifying technique, that chakra that spins at a high speed. As long as it is hit, it will almost certainly die." Well, it is indeed a terrible technique. Black Zetsu's eyes flicker, but Black Zetsu is different from White Zetsu. Black Zetsu is created by Kagaya Hein's will. Only yin and yang can damage the root, and ordinary ninjutsu is ineffective against him. But even so, Black Zetsu couldn't deny the power of Rasenshuriken. Strange power, a critical strike. At this time, Tsunade took advantage of the body's shape to flash and slammed forward. The blue chakra condensed in his fist and threw a punch. He felt threatened against the 3rd generation Cage. If he was punched by this, he would also die. No guarantee. Thinking of this, the three generations of Kage once again used Jiden, magnet-style, absolute defense, and the surrounding sand and iron gathered together to block him. Tsunade's strange power had suddenly exploded as he recalled that the third Kage was still blasted more than 10 meters away by this blow. His face turned pale, and he vomited blood. Although he used sand iron to resist, but the inertia and impact of Tsunade's strange force could not be completely resisted, so the third generation Kage was still injured. 3 generations of Kage injured. Let's watch this fight. Konoha members of the fight were all refreshed, and they all looked happy. The cooperation between Chen and Tsunade is really a tacit understanding. Even if it is as strong as the 3 generations of Kage, it will be damaged by the light of the 3 generations of Hokage said with emotion. Ninjas nodded in agreement, looking at the backs of Tatsu and Tsunade with admiration. Third generation of Kage was injured, and instinctively felt the crisis. If this continues, he is likely to really lose the alliance between Chen and Tsunade. Also used the strongest attack when he bit Kiba. Jiden, magnet style, the art of the Iron Sand Giant. 3 generations of Kage burst out with intense scorching chakra. This chakra rose into the sky, and the surrounding sand and iron quickly condensed, forming a giant made of sand and iron in front of the third generation of Kage. This is definitely a terrible ninjutsu. The Iron Sand Giant is dozens of meters high, taller than Tsunade's psychic beast slug, and there are powerful chakras mixed in the sand iron. 3 generations of Kage stand on the top of the giant's head, looking down at Chen and Yu. Tsunade, intimidating. This momentum made all the ninjas at the scene shudder and marvel. Is this the killer of 3 generations of Kage? Chen slightly sighed. It is indeed powerful, worthy of the third generation of Kage. Chen's complexion also became solemn, and his chakra left was less than half. Since the 3 generations of Kage used the strongest trump card, he no longer kept secrets, and was ready to decide the winner in the next. Susanoo. The chakra around Chen's body is condensed, and the golden light is displayed. Susanoo's light is extremely dazzling and attracts the attention of the world. The golden skeleton is covered with a layer of flesh and armor. Susanoo has 2 weapons, a shield, and a great sword. Susanoo is like a mountain, and its height is no worse than that of the sand iron giant. No way, who is Chen's Susanoo is actually golden, it's really too cool. Susanoo's shape is shocking, making 3 generations of Kage's eyes show surprise. However, the 3 generations of Kage did not hesitate at all, controlling the Iron Sand Giant and attacking Chen. Tsunade, you step back first. Chen rode. Good. Tsunade's figure flashed, and she also understood that the battle between Chen and the 3 generations of Kage had reached the final stage at this time, and both Chen and the 3 generations of Kage used the last trump card. Third generation of Kage was previously injured by Tatsu and Tsunade, and at this time it was a desperate shot, and Tatsu's chakra was not much left, and only Susanoo's blow was left. The golden Susanoo raised his great sword and slashed down to deal with the 3 generations of Kage. The third generation of Kage controlled the Iron Sand Giant, strode forward, and hit Susanoo. Susanoo collided with the Iron Sand Giant. Boom! Under the impact, he took a step back. At this time, the eyes of the whole audience are focused on this. On the Konoha Hokage building, the 3 generations of Hokage and others stood up and stared at this scene. Not to mention Black Zetsu and White Zetsu, they have been paying attention. 211 Final winner. For automatic subscription. Expression on Kage's face, because he could feel that Chen's Susanoo power had the upper hand. Even he couldn't stop Susanoo's power. The Iron Sand Giant of Kage of the 3rd generation was actually very scary. But it seems to be inferior to Tatsu's Susanoo. Susanoo has 2 weapons, a large shield and a great sword. The attack of the great sword is extremely sharp, while the great shield is to defend everything, both offense and defense. The moment the giant of Iron Sand and Susanoo collided, Susanoo's great sword even swept out, directly slicing off half of the arm of iron sand. The half arm lost the support of chakra, and suddenly turned into iron sand and scattered with the wind. A trace of sweat gradually appeared on the forehead of the 3 generations of Cascade. Previously, Chen and Tsunade joined forces to attack and fight. Chen and Tsunade jointly consumed a lot of chakra for the 3 generations of Cascade, and the battle at this time made the 3 generations of Cascade fall into the battle, and gradually felt unsustainable. 3 generations of Cascade never imagined that Chen's Susanoo was so powerful. In the case of his chakra consumption, he was no longer Chen's opponent. Boom! Susanoo struck again, this time directly cutting off the entire arm of the iron sand giant. The ninjas fighting below exclaimed. The Konoha ninja was very surprised, and the Sunagaku ninja was worried. Along with the battle between Tatsu and the 3 generations of Cascade, this battle really involves the hearts of tens of thousands of people. Chen has the upper hand, and the attack is getting more and more fierce. The golden Susanoo is like a god of war, making the 3 generations of Cascade retreat step by step. At this moment, all the ninjas in Sunagaku village are full of despair. Roar is still constant, and every time it is engaged, it is like a hammer hitting the metal, and the roaring sound is like thunder. I won, I'm going to win. At the Hokage building in the village of Konoha, almost everyone was beaming, having foreseen the victory of the war. Although the 3 generations of Cascade, but it is already difficult to support, cannot win the current Chen. In addition, Chiyo, Ebizo and other Sunagaku powerhouses were all defeated by Jiraiya, Orochimaru, Namikaze Minato and others, and Sunagaku ninjas were also worried in their hearts, revealing the image of defeat. As long as the 3rd generation of Cascade is defeated by Chen, it will be the time when Sunagaku village is defeated. On the Hokage building, even Danzo can't calm down, and his excitement is almost beyond words. After all, although Danzo is a little darker, he still sincerely protects the interests of Konoha, and Danzo is still an out-and-out hawk. I hope Konoha has a strong wrist. Seeing Chen's performance so amazing, when he was worried about Uchiha's power, he couldn't help but be excited. That Sunagaku can be defeated and Konoha can overlook the ninja world as a victorious country. The closer he gets to victory, the more excited the Konohas are, and the more desperate the ninjas of Sunagaku are. Chen and the 3 generations of Cascade finally came to an end. One of Shaju's arm was completely cut off by Chen, and at the same time, Chen took advantage of the momentum to pursue, making the 3 generations of Cascade retreat. Another full blow, Susanoo smashed the sand iron giant with one sword. Losing his hand, he was already out of balance, and in such a situation, Chen cut off another arm. With both arms missing, the iron sand giant has been defeated. Tsunade was the closest to Chen, and there was a flash of excitement in his eyes as he looked at Chen's eyes. The figure, facing the victory at this moment, couldn't help shedding hot tears. Facing Susanoo's suppression, Cascade's heart gradually became cold, and under Tatsu's powerful offensive, he finally began to retreat step by step. And Konoha's ninjas began to burst into cheers. Chiyo shook his head, his eyes were solemn and desperate, and he sighed, could it really be that God wants to destroy me Sunagaku? Even the 3 generations of Cascade-sama. Damn, this battle. Even 3 generations of Cascade-sama can't resist that guy, terrible, terrible. 3 generations of Cascade was gradually consumed, and Chen also had very little left, but he managed to support it. Susanoo's power has not weakened in the slightest, and he is still strong. Susanoo finally hit the iron sand giant once. The power of the iron sand giant gradually disappeared, and the sand and iron in the whole body began to fall unconsciously. Even the 3 generations of Cascade are powerless to change the situation in front of them. Konoha ninjas looked at Tatsu in front of them as if they were looking at gods, while Sunagaku's ninjas fell into despair and looked at Tatsu as if they were looking at the god of death. The last blow. Chen used Susanoo to use the last blow. The chakra sword directly pierced the sand iron of the 3 generations of Cascade completely, and the iron sand giant was finally unable to support it, turned into loose sand, and scattered with the wind. Third generation Cascage spit out a large mouthful of blood, and his face was pale and bloodless, and he was obviously traumatized because of it. He stared straight at Chen, and his body was shaking. A high-level ninja from Sunagakur immediately stepped forward to support the third Cascage to prevent the third Cascage from falling. Susanoo's chakra on Chen also gradually dissipated. Susanoo's golden light disappeared, but at this moment, Chen was still dazzling in front of everyone, even when Susanoo was around him. Almost everyone in the field focused their attention on Chen. Thousands of Konoha ninjas, thousands of Sunagakur ninjas, and tens of thousands of Sunagakur villagers, plus the high-level Konoha who watched through the crystal ball, everyone in black zetsu, white zetsu, and Tatsuya focused their attention on Chen. The handsome young man in front of him, just like his title, is like the light of the stars on the battlefield, dazzling and dazzling. Chen's chakra is also very little left. Fortunately, there is Yongdun to support his body, so as not to let Chen fall. The slug on Tsunade's shoulder also quickly healed Chen's injuries and passed some chakra to Chen. Chen looked at the three generations of Cascage, and finally spoke up, as if in a judgment, "We, Konoha, won this war." Words, the ninjas of Konoha cheered. "Thank you for the reward. 212 The light that no one can stop. Please, ask for a reward for monthly pass." The Konoha ninja cheered and the Sunagakur ninja, on the other hand, were immersed in despair and could only look at Chen with anger, but did not know how to speak, and did not dare to speak in front of Chen. Chen's majesty at this moment is enough to make ordinary ninjas tremble in front of him. This war, even if you Konoha win. Three generations of Cascage stood up reluctantly, got out of the support of the Sunagakur ninja, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and gave a miserable smile. Acknowledged by three generations of Cascage, Konoha's ninjas cheered louder. At the Hokage building in Konoha, there was also a cheer, and the news spread quickly throughout the Konoha village, and tens of thousands of villagers also cheered and shouted wildly. When they truly greeted the victory was still like a dream, so they didn't quite believe it was real. This war that has lasted for several years is really coming to an end at this moment. At least Sunagakur won't be Konoha's opponent anymore. As for Iwagakure, seeing the situation of Konoha's great victory, "I don't want to die with Konoha, and can only accept peace." Thinking of this, the faces of the Konoha ninjas were filled with excitement, beyond words. Three generations of Cascage looked at Chen with a complicated look, and sighed. The light of the stars is indeed a generation of arrogance. It's a pity that a genius like you is not from my Sunagakur village. If you are from my Sunagakur village, the outcome of this battle is really uncertain. Three generations of Cascage have a kind of regret for both Shengyu and He Shengliang. It would be great if such a person was from Sunagakur village. Hearing this, thousands of Konoha ninjas are very fortunate in their hearts. Fortunately, Chen is a Konoha person. If it is true as the three generations of Cascage said, Sunagakur has such a terrible genius, it is really unimaginable. The top of Konoha and the villagers of Konoha cheered in unison, even shouting Chen's name. This victory was really hard won, and the war that lasted for several years finally saw the light of day at this moment. In particular, the villagers of Konoha all remembered Chen's achievements, and in the hearts of these villagers, Chen's reputation also rose sharply. "I, Sunagakur, did not lose to Konoha, but to you, Uchiha Chen. On the battlefield is indeed unstoppable." Third generation of Cascage coughed and covered his mouth, but the blood still didn't stop. Three generations of Cascage Sama. Seeing this, Chiyo, who was seriously injured, immediately went to Cascage 3 and used medical ninjutsu to heal his wounds. Third generation of Cascage's expression softened slightly. Chen shook his head. Three generations of Cascage won the prize. "No, although you are an enemy, I admire you very much." Under Chiyo's treatment, the third generation of Cascage finally showed a slight Yuhi run on his face. He said solemnly, Chen looked at the 3 generations of Kazekage. In such a situation, Dai Kazekage still looks calm, although he was defeated by Chen, but the brilliance in his eyes has not disappeared. He really deserves to be a Kazekage of a country. If it weren't for me and Tsunade joining forces, I would have beaten you. Chen is telling the truth. Tsunade and Chen teamed up to fight against the 3-generation Kazekage, which made the 3-generation Kazekage consume a lot of chakra, and also increased the pressure. 3 generations of Kazekage laughed at themselves, and at this point, it was too late. Defeated by Chen and Tsunade, and the hero was judged by success or failure. Moreover, Chen's strength is indeed obvious to all. Next, the 3 generations of Kazekage directly blocked in front of the village and said, "Since you have won this war, what are you going to do next? Are you going to continue? If you want to continue, we Sunagakure village will accompany you to the end, everyone. Fight to the death. If you want to destroy my Sunagakure village, walk over my corpse." The words of the 3 generations of Kazekage, all the Sunagakure ninjas were refreshed, the despair in their eyes subsided a little, and they all gathered up, with the will to die in their eyes. The villagers of Sunagakure village also all gathered around, all with firmness in their eyes. Chen squinted his eyes. He knew very well that his own chakra was almost exhausted at this time, and the Tsunade trio was also the same. As for Konoha's ninja, needless to say, 2 battles in a row, plus a long journey at Sunagakure village, their physical strength and chakra are also close to the limit. Although this battle was a victory for Konoha, once Sunagakure's fish died and the net was broken, with the intention of perishing with Konoha, the outcome was really hard to say. Rest assured, I have no intention of continuing the war. Chen's words made both sides heave a sigh of relief. The goal of this war has been achieved, and Chen is not ready to continue the war. Then what are you going to do? 3 generations of Kazekage looked at Chen. Now the future of the 2 countries is in the hands of Chen, and this war is also ended by Chen himself. Smile appeared on Chen's face. It's very simple. I ask the country of fire and the country of wind to conclude a peace treaty. Sunagakure and Konoha allies, declare surrender to Konoha, and then use this to force Iwagakure to end the war. This is also what the 3 generations of Hokage and Chen have discussed, and at the moment this is the most secure solution. Chen secretly slandered in his heart. He didn't expect Sunagakure and Konoha to form an alliance under such circumstances. Original book. Sunagakure and Konoha were allies, but in this world, due to Chen's accidental push, the 2 countries really want to form an alliance. 3 generations of Kazekage breathed a sigh of relief. He could accept such conditions, and Sunagakure could not stand the consumption, and if the war continued, I was afraid that Sunagakure would be in danger of collapse. Konoha's starlight, it is better to meet than to be famous. 3rd generation Kazekage sighed again. He seemed to have aged 10 years. Sunagakure was defeated, and it will definitely take a long time to recover in the future, but he can only accept this condition. Chen and Tsunade 3 exchanged their eyes, and the 4 people 4 also felt that this was the safest way. The distance, Black Zetsu and White Zetsu had a panoramic view of the battle. They were still buried in the soil, daring not to emerge from their bodies, so as not to be discovered by Chen. Black Zetsu said in a low voice, "Sure enough, Konoha won. I'm afraid that boy's use of Susanoo is even better than that of Madara-sama of the same age. It's terrifying. Let's quickly report this news to Madara-sama. The ninja world has changed. This battle is over, and this ninja world war will also end. Well, let's go. Don't be discovered by that kid. Ask for a monthly pass. Ask for a reward." 213 War. Black Zetsu and White Zetsu left, and the battle gradually came to an end. Sunagakure village is broken and devastated. Destroyed by this battle, it will take a long time to recover. Chen looked at the 3 generations of Kazekage in front of him. The 2 leaders of this war looked at each other, and both were silent for a while. Then the 3 generations of Kazekage slowly said, "Since a peace treaty is to be concluded, please report to the 3 generations of Hokage. Well as the daimyo of the 2 countries, let's decide together." I understand. But until then, Konoha's ninja troops will be stationed outside Sunagakure village, please understand. Chen said lightly. Of course, this battle is the victory of Konoha, since victory must have the attitude of the victor. Kage's mouth twitched slightly, but he endured it. Sunagakure became the defeated country this time, and was forced to sign an alliance treaty with Konoha, which made Sunagakure feel extremely humiliated, but it was impossible, and he could only endure. As for the conclusion of a peace treaty, the 3 generations of Kage can already imagine that the treaty will be extremely harsh. I am afraid that Sunagakure will live in the shadow of Konoha for a long time in the future. By the way, the 3 generations of Hokage have already handed over all affairs to me, and the next contract will also be signed with you on behalf of Konoha. Chen said lightly. 3 generations of Kage didn't speak, just gave Chen a deep look, and then waved his hand, signaling all the ninjas behind him to step back. The ninjas of Sunagakure also took a deep look at Chen. There was fear and shock in the eyes of these ninjas, all of them remained silent and silently retreated. Chen led the Konoha ninja, and gradually retreated back, temporarily settling camp outside Sunagakure village as a temporary stronghold. Chen's words were not wrong at all. At the beginning of the war, the 3 generations of Hokage gave Chen full responsibility for all matters of the Sunagakure war, including negotiating the contract with Sunagakure on his behalf. At this time, it can be said that the master has great power. Of course, this is what it should be. After all, he led Konoha's ninjas to victory in this war. Finally won, and then the war can gradually end. Chen whispered to himself. Tsunade, who was next to him, had already walked to Chen's side. With a smile on the corner of his mouth, he took Chen's arm, and whispered, "It's hard work." Tsunade's face was filled with pride, and he was sincerely happy for Chen. Chen smiled slightly, looking at the peerless face of the beautiful woman around him. He was also delighted, and also held Tsunade's soft cat. The two held each other's palms and interlocked their fingers, and they could clearly feel each other's affection for each other. Sunagakure is nothing to worry about, just waiting for the signing of the contract, the conclusion of an alliance. As for Iwagakure, I don't know if there is any news, and White Fang doesn't know what happened. Chen whispered. This time Tatsu and Sanin led Konoha's ninja troops to Hidden Village, and a group of Konoha ninjas followed White Fang to guard Iwagakure's defense line to resist Iwagakure's attack and prevent Konoha from 2 lines. I heard that White Fang is alone, taking the lead and resisting Iwagakure. Although I did not gain an advantage, it did not allow Iwagakure to take advantage. Tsunade smiled lightly. Chen breathed a sigh of relief. White Fang sure enough can withstand Iwagakure's offensive. I am really looking forward to Iwagakure's surprise to hear that we have defeated Sunagakure. Corner of Chen's mouth, as if he couldn't wait to see the news of Iwagakure's victory over Sunagakure and the others. Tsunade also smiled. It's not just Iwagakure, but also countries like Thunder, Water, Rain, etc. I don't know how surprised I will be when we hear the news of our victory over Sunagakure. Tsunade couldn't help but feel a good mood at the thought of the shocked look of the ninjas from other countries. The haze of war was suddenly swept away. Konoha ninjas who followed Chen were like this. These ninjas had smiles on their faces. Although their bodies were exhausted, their mental state was unprecedentedly good, and they were all immersed in the joy of victory. It can be said that this war is very important and directly determines the future pattern of the ninja world. Minato, Akamichi Choza and other Inoshika Cho trio also all walked to Tatsu's side. The 4 of them were extremely excited. Tatsu also saw some other figures, such as Hyuga and Hyuga Hazashi, the 2 guys from the Hyuga family. Hyuga and Hyuga had conflicts with Tatsu when they were at the ninja school, but with the rise of Tatsu like a shooting star, they can only look up at Tatsu's back, even more so now. Chen also did not care about the 2 brothers of the Hyuga family. The 2 were not on the same level, and Chen also never regarded the 2 as rivals. Well, looking at the situation of Hyuga being Hinata's father in the future, I'm too lazy to care. Chen thought silently. Today, the two Hyuga brothers can't say a word in front of Chen. The difference between Chen and them is like Hao and Firefly, which makes the Hyuga brothers feel ashamed. Lord Chen, the 3 generations of adults want to contact you through projection. When Chen commanded the Konoha ninja army to set up a camp, the sentient ninja of the Yamanaka clan came and said respectfully to Chen. 3 generations had something to discuss with him, and Chen also immediately understood. Just now, the 3 generations waited for the top management of Konoha to have a panoramic view of the battle. I am afraid that the 3 generations also came to explain some matters. I see. Inform Tsunade and the others, let us come together. Chen wrote. Yes. After a while, Tatsu and Sanin were together, barely communicating with the 3 generations through the projection technique of the Yamanaka clan. 3 generations of Hokage appeared in front of Chen and others. The 3 generations in the picture did not smoke, but laughed happily. Even the wrinkles at the corners of their eyes were clearly visible. Apart from the 3 generations, there were also high-level Hokage executives such as Danzo. All smiles. Chen, this time you did very well. This is the biggest victory in this war, you are the biggest hero of Konoha. Appeared on the screen, the 3 generations were full of praise. Group Little Tale. 214 The first unequal treaty in the ninja world. The 3 generations did not hesitate to praise Chen, and Chen's credit this time is well known and cannot be denied. Chen's current name has spread all over the village, and the 3rd generation spread the news at the moment when Chen and Tsunade jointly defeated the 3rd generation of Kazekage. The relationship between Tsunade and Chen is extraordinary, and in this battle with the 3 generations of Kazekage, he also deliberately made green leaves to set off Chen. After all, the other party is Kazekage of the 3rd generation, and he is also the leader of a village anyway, and Chen's ability to compete with him is enough to prove the strength of this Chen. News spread throughout Konoha, and everyone rejoiced, remembering this great hero. Award. Chen is very indifferent to the 3 generations of Hokage. 3 generations of Hokage took a deep look at Chen, and he found that the most powerful genius of the Uchiha family in front of him had been implemented, and he did not know Chen's thoughts. 3 generations of Hokage can vaguely feel that this ninja war has gradually changed 2 people, one is Uchiha Chen, and the other is his proud disciple Orochimaru. 3 generations of Hokage can feel the ambition in Orochimaru's eyes and the greed hidden in his heart, knowing that his proud disciple has been changed by the war. 3rd generation of Hokage was disappointed in his heart, but also faintly couldn't believe it, but instead fueled Orochimaru's ambition. As for Chen, the 3 generations of Hokage are completely invisible. Eyes of the 3 generations of Hokage, Chen is definitely a super genius, and even his disciple Orochimaru is not enough to compete with Chen in talent. Moreover, Chen played a great role in this war, but the 3 generations of Hokage could not see Chen's pride or greed. Such a young man cannot be seen by 3 generations. Being able to become a legendary figure in this ninja war is indeed an extraordinary feat. Such a character, I hope that it is better not to betray the village, otherwise the consequences will be disastrous. Uchiha. 3rd generation of Hokage is also very complicated. In the face of Chen's meteor-like rise, the 3 generations are both relieved and a little worried. But he is also very clear that this is no longer something he can control. With Chen's current strength and influence, it can be said that it has become a trend. The 3 generations of Hokage smiled and said, Chen, the next thing to conclude the contract is left to you, and Sunagaku is fully responsible for you. Well. Chen was a little surprised that the 3 generations still trusted, so he nodded. Projection could not last long, and the images of the 3 generations soon disappeared. Chen, the 3 generations of adults really trust you. Jiraiya smiled slightly and patted Chen's shoulder. Sanin and Chen have fought side by side many times, and the family has been born and died. The relationship between Sanin and Chen is very good, at least on the surface. Chen shrugged. Negotiations and contracts are the most troublesome, and Shikaku will take care of them. Saying so, Chen got up and told Shikaku to go. Jiraiya and Orochimaru were both speechless about Chen's swipe of hands. Orochimaru's eyes flashed slightly, looking at the back of Chen's departure, like is thinking. Jiraiya looked at Orochimaru strangely, and he also found that his friend was talking less and less recently, but he often looked at Chen thoughtfully, not knowing what he was thinking. Chen handed over the contract signing to Shikaku. Shikaku was very excited to hear that. He has always been good at this kind of things. The alliance contract. Don't push Sunagaku too hard, lest Sunagaku jump over the wall and give them a little more benefit. You should know exactly. Chen asked Shikaku, in exchange for Shikaku's frequent nods. The real reason why Chen didn't want to use the alliance contract to push Sunagaku too hard was very simple. Chen doesn't want the Konoha family to dominate and completely suppress Sunagaku, which is obviously not in Akatsuki's interest. Only the more chaotic the ninja world and the more balanced the forces between the major powers are, the more the interests of Akatsuki and Tatsuya will be reconciled. Sunagaku restores strength through this, and can also check and balance Konoha in the future. Otherwise, the current Konoha is in full swing, and the family is the only big one, then it will be really troublesome. Got it. Shikaku, however, did not suspect that he was there, and went away excitedly. Chen looked at the back of Shikaku leaving with a strange expression. What's wrong? Tsunade took Chen's arm and looked at him curiously. Chen coughed and said, I just think it's a little weird. This seems to be the first unequal treaty in the ninja world, and it actually appeared in my hands. As the victorious nation, Konoha won this time with a huge advantage, the first time in history. And the covenant doesn't matter. No matter how loose it is definitely an unequal treaty. So, the first unequal treaty in the ninja world actually appeared in his hands. How could there be a sense of capitalist plunder? Chen's mouth twitched slightly, but the smile could not be concealed. Sunagaku and Konoha began to have intensive secret talks, and they were discussing the contract for several days. Final contract. The basic discussion is completed, and the details are finalized. It only needs Chen and the 3 generations of Hokage to sign the contract, and it can officially take effect. In the contract, it is stipulated that Sunagaku will form an alliance with Konoha, advance and retreat together, and a series of conditions. Relatively speaking, this contract made the 3 generations of Kazekage relieved, because the content of the contract is not bad and not harsh. And Chen was invited by the 3 generations of Kazekage to go to the Kazekage building with Sanin and Shikaku to participate in the official signing of this contract. Wind was blowing, and the weather in Sunagaku was very bad. Compared with the rainy day in the land of rain, Sunagaku was not much better. There were sandstorms everywhere. Tell the truth, Chen also sympathizes with Sunagaku. As one of the 5 major ninja countries, the living conditions are too harsh. Compared with the country of rain, it is not much better. Among the 5 countries, it can be regarded as the most barren land. It's basically a place where birds don't poop. No wonder that Sunagaku has been waging wars all the time. It seems that the 3rd ninja war was provoked by them. Chen is completely understandable now. Everything is forced out. Ask the automatic group tale, T. 215 Bewitching Sasori of the Red Sand. Chen is deeply sympathetic to the situation of Sunagaku. It is indeed a sad ninja country. Although it is one of the 5 countries, it has the most barren land in the 5 countries, and is in the middle of the 2 powerful countries, Konoha and Iwagakure. It is really miserable. Words. Chen looked at the Sunagaku ninja's eyes full of sympathy. This time Sunagaku was tragic enough. He was directly beaten by the Konoha Blitz, so he had to sign an alliance contract as a last resort, and he didn't even have time to react. The battle was settled. When Chen and Sanin entered the Sunagaku village, they received hostile glances from many Sunagaku ninjas as he expected, but Sunagaku ninjas were more afraid. After seeing Chen's strength, especially Chen and Sanin. The battle of the three generations of Kazekage made all Sunagaku ninjas realize the horror of Chen. Therefore, although these Sunagaku ninjas were dissatisfied with Chen, it could even be said that they were extremely angry, but they had no choice but to hide from Chen. As for Chen himself, he didn't even take the expressions of these people into his eyes. He almost ignored their thoughts and walked slowly towards the Kazekage building in Sunagaku. 3 generations of Kazekage, Chiyo and many other senior executives of Sunagaku came, and Chen also saw a familiar little figure. I only saw one about 8 years old. A little boy appeared in front of Chen. Chen saw that this little boy had clear eyebrows and a bit of perseverance in his eyes, and what Chen was most familiar with was the yuhi-colored hair. Sasori of the Red Sand. Chen met Sasori again. Sasori. Chen looked at Sasori, stepped forward and said hello to the little guy. Sasori looks very cute, and he feels a bit like a little Shota. Big brother. Sasori also clearly recognized Chen. Although Chen hijacked Sasori a few years ago, he is not bad for Sasori. Sasori also has a good impression of Chen, but Sasori also knows that this time Chen brought ninjas to invade Sunagaku, so that Sasori has a crush on Chen. Feeling is also complicated. Chen and Sasori actually have no direct hatred. After all, the one who killed Sasori's parents was White Fang, not Chen. And Sasori even has some worship to Chen in his heart. Children worship the strong, and Sasori is no exception. Chen's name and deeds have spread throughout the ninja world. Sasori is not only afraid of Chen, but also has some worship. Hearing Sasori's name, Chen was even more in a good mood. He also planned to kidnap Sasori. In the future, Sasori will be a member of Akatsuki and Chen's scheduled member. Now it looks like Sasori is very likely to succeed in kidnapping. Chen thought to himself. Boy, stay away from my grandson. Chen just wanted to say something, but Chiyo shouted angrily. Chiyo protects Sasori like an old hen protecting her chick. Chen shrugged. Chiyo, I have nothing to Sasori. Otherwise, he would have already done it when he caught him in the first place. Now that I am a distinguished guest of Sunagaku village, your attitude is inappropriate. Chen stared at Chiyo, his eyes were full of fishy. Tomo's Sharingan clearly showed. Chiyo was startled and took a step back subconsciously. She knew how powerful Chen was. Chiyo is now seriously injured and still can't win Chen. Chiyo stared at Tatsu's Sharingan, transformed, and let go. Sasori, who was protecting. As Tatsu said, if Tatsu wanted to do something bad to Sasori, he would have done it. Chiyo was biting Kiba. She really could not have imagined that one day she would be so cautious about a young man, and Chiyo knew very well that she had absolutely no confidence in Yu Chen's actions. Sasori, who was in Chiyo's arms, opened his eyes wide, looking at Chen who was indifferent, then at Sunagaku, who was vaguely fearful to the left and right, and at his grandmother who had always admired the most. Even Grandma seems to be extremely afraid of Big Brother. It turns out that Big Brother is so powerful and there are other ninjas in the village, and even dare not say a word in front of Big Brother. I heard that even 3 generations of Kazekage-sama lost to him. Big Brother. Sasori thought like this, and there was an inexplicable light in his eyes. He revered the strong most, especially after his parents died. Sasori realized the importance of strength. After seeing the power of Chen, he revered even more. Emotions spread. If I can learn ninjutsu with my big brother, I can't help it. Sasori has this idea in his heart, and when this idea grows, it can't be stopped. Chiyo, you have a good grandson, and he will be your puppet master in the future. Chen looked at Sasori's still somewhat immature face and said lightly. Chiyo's eyes lit up, and he smiled bitterly. I hope so. No matter how strong Sasori is, I'm afraid it won't be as good as you. Although he is an enemy, Chiyo has to admit that the young man in front of him is so dazzling. Even when he arrives at Sunagaku village, he is the focus and center of everyone's attention. His handsome face and mysterious temperament are all admirable. Chen has no hypocritical rebuttal to this sentence. Of course he is stronger than Sasori. Sasori left Chiyo's arms, approached Chen, and whispered, "Big brother, will I have a chance to learn ninjutsu with you in the future?" After all, it is childlike, and Sasori said what was in his heart. Chiyo's expression changed slightly, but Chen touched Sasori's head. "There will be a chance." Sasori's eyes lit up, and he immediately imagined being taught ninjutsu by Chen, and planted a seed in his heart. Chen looked at him with a smirk. "Even Sasori of the Red Sand didn't want to join Akatsuki, and I took him as a younger brother to see Nagato and Yahiko, and then to my bed-warming maid Konan blah blah blah." At this time, Sasori was already bewitched by Chen Yinyan, and once this idea came up, it could no longer be stopped. Like Sasuke going to Orochimaru in the original book, Chen's bewitching of Sasori is not as direct as Orochimaru, but the effect is better. Because Chen led Konoha to defeat the entire Sunagaker in a way that destroys the whole Sunagaker, in Sasori's heart, Chen is the strongest. And he help but make Sasori want to chase power. Chen knows that as long as it develops like this, Sasori will be like Sasuke chasing Orochimaru in the original book. Sasori will come to defect to him one day. Come and order the monthly pass Kyun Chao Tai. Watch the underlined version novel. 216 Akatsuki's preliminary formation. Ask for a monthly pass. Ask for a reward. Sasori's eyes looking at Chen are full of longing and admiration. As long as Chen guides him a little, I am afraid that Sasori will be kidnapped by Chen. And there is absolutely no need to worry about backlash like Sasuke in the original book. After all, Tatsu and Sasori have no conflict, but Orochimaru is trying to take Sasuke's body. "Sasori, come to me when you really want power," whispered in Sasori's ear. This sentence was only conveyed between Sasori and Tatsu. Sasori's eyes moved, but Sasori, who was only 8 years old, showed a hint of desire in his eyes, which was the desire for power. Chen smiled slightly and looked at Sasori's eyes. This time, he came to Sunagaker village to have an unexpected harvest. He planted a seed in Sasori's heart, which is also a good thing. Chiyo saw Chen and was talking to Sasori again. Although he didn't know what the two were talking about, Chiyo was still very cautious to protect his little grandson behind him. Chen smiled lightly. He knew the truth of overdoing it, so he didn't talk to Sasori again. Sasori was the only one left, staring blankly at Chen's back, his eyes getting brighter and brighter. "Chen, you seem to be very optimistic about this child named Sasori." Tsunade's soft words whispered in Chen's ears, looking at Chen and said, "Chen Dao, well, this child has infinite potential in the future and will become a great weapon." Oh. Tsunade was interested, but Chen rarely commented on a person like this. Even Tsunade was slightly surprised when he heard Chen say so. Vision is self-evident. If Tatsu's comments on Sasori spread out, I am afraid that the Sunagaker village will pay great attention to Sasori. The current Chen really has this qualification, even if it is impossible for anyone to ignore Chen's words. Chen smiled without saying a word. The most outstanding puppet master in the history of Sunagaker, even surpassed Chiyo's existence, and even Sasori, the master of the secret method of immortality, indeed has a promising future. The horns of the undead duo. They have already arrived under Chen's command, and Sasori in the art duo has also been fooled by Chen, plus the 3 Konan 3, Akatsuki has already taken shape. It's a pity that Itachi, Deidara and the others are all not yet born. Akatsuki will take time to perfect. Chen thought to himself, but he is already very satisfied. How long has it been? Akatsuki has already taken shape. In a little while, Chen believes that Akatsuki will be fully grown, even stronger than in the original. Chen and Sanin visited Sunagaker village for a while, and then entered the Cage building with Chiyo, 3 generations of Cage and others. 3rd generation of Cage has been quite haggard these days, and his brows have been furrowing tightly, obviously worrying about the future of Sunagaker village. Sunagaker village became a defeated country in this ninja war, and suffered the largest loss among the 3 major countries. It needs time to make up for the trauma. Fortunately, Chen's contract with Sunagakure this time was very loose, which made the 3 generations of Cascade breathe a sigh of relief, but also was surprised, very curious why Chen did this. In the meeting room of the Cascade building, a large round table, and Sanin's representative Konoha sat at the side of the round table, and Nara Shikaku stood respectfully behind Tatsu. And the high-level Sunagakure village headed by 3 generations of Cascade is sitting at the round table. The negotiation between the two sides is very meaningful. Chen's expression was calm, and his composure fell in the eyes of Sunagakure's executives, and Sunagakure's executives sighed slightly. This young man did not care whether it is strength or mind is the best choice. He deserves to be a boy named Light of the Stars. Why is there no such talent in Sunagakure village? Eyes are complicated. One hand, Chen's strength made them angry and in awe, and on the other hand, Chen's methods made them admire. Although he is an enemy, he has to admit that this young man is powerful. 3 generations of Cascade don't know our contract. What is Sunagakure thinking about? Chen asked lightly. Tone is calm, neither humble nor arrogant, but it has an irresistible meaning. Even Tsunade next to him was slightly startled. It seemed that after the baptism of war, Chen's temperament became more and more convincing. It was just a simple sentence, but it had a general feeling. 3rd generation of Cascade nodded slightly. A bitter smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. What else could he say? The proposal and treatment given by Chen can be regarded as very generous. As a defeated country, Sunagakure has no other choice, and now only agrees. The young man in front of him has figured this out clearly. If this is the case, how terrifying it must be. 3 generations of Cascade secretly sighed and said, we Sunagakure have no problem. Chen smiled. All this was exactly what he expected. Very lenient to Sunagakure in the alliance treaty, and it was absolutely impossible to refuse to the Sunagakure village, which had almost collapsed. Chen does not intend to let the Konoha family dominate, so it is also important to give Sunagakure loose conditions and let Sunagakure grow up to contain Konoha. Since there is no problem, then sign the contract. Let's go. Chen rode. The 3 generations of Cascade pondered for a while, and finally nodded. Smile appeared at the corner of Chen's mouth. From today, Konoha and Sunagakure are allies. Well. 3rd generation of Cascade was also relieved and nodded slightly. 3 generations of Cascade and Chen both stood up and were satisfied with the contract concluded by the 2 parties. The 2 countries formally signed a contract and became an alliance. Under the pressure of such momentum, Iwagakure, who was already overwhelmed, did not dare to provoke war again. It can be said that the general trend has been achieved, and Iwagakure is nothing to worry about. I hope your country will abide by the agreement. 3 generations of Cascade looked at Chen Dao. Chen shrugged. I hope too. In fact, the alliance between Konoha and Sunagakure is not close. After all, the most important thing between great powers is their interests. This is also in line with Chen's heart. He doesn't want Sunagakure and Konoha to really unite. It's good to fish in muddy water. Contract was concluded. Chen passed the news to the 3 generations of Hokage, and the top management of Konoha was also greatly shocked. At the same time, the news spread throughout the 5 ninja countries, setting off stormy waves. Ask for a monthly pass. Ask for a reward. 217 fame shocked the 5 countries. Chen led the Konoha ninja force, defeated Sunagakure, and Konoha signed an alliance treaty with Sunagakure, and the news of the official alliance of the 2 ninja powers spread throughout the ninja world. One stone stirred up 1,000 waves. This news is not ordinary news, it is like a stormy sea. The ninja world was quiet at first, and then all parties were boiling over it. After hearing the news, all parties had only one thought. It seems that this ninja war is finally coming to an end, and maybe it will end with a victory for Konoha. The alliance between Sunagakure and Konoha is not ordinary, which shocked many people. A few days ago, I heard that Konoha and Sunagakure are still in the Kingdom of Rain. This speed is too fast. There is no doubt that Chen's blitzkrieg tactics have achieved great results, and Konoha has almost invested the most elite troops in this battle. Thousands of elite ninjas, plus Tatsu and Sanin's role, finally let Sunagakure lose. The 5 major countries, including the Land of Earth, the Land of Thunder, and the Land of Water, as well as small countries such as the Land of Rain, were all shocked by this, and it was completely unexpected that the situation would change in a few days on the battlefield. The Kingdom of Thunder and the Kingdom of Water, who had originally intended to intervene in the war and were about to intervene, immediately died down, each fearing each other. As for the small countries such as the Land of Rain, they were completely silent, surprised and fearful at the news. And Iwagakure in the Land was completely stunned. The executives of Iwagakure were all dumbfounded. What happened to this fuck? In just a few days, you told me that Sunagakure was breached and defeated by Konoha, which made the major countries and ninjas feel the most incredible news. According to the ninja information of various countries, the reason why Sunagakure was defeated was because Konoha's Starlight, Uchiha Chen and Tsunade, one of the Sanin, joined forces to defeat the 3 generations of Kazekage. Among them, Uchiha Chen fought against the 3 generations of Kazekage alone, and the 3 generations of Kazekage were defeated. Pushed into a corner, and finally defeated. The news came out, the country immediately fell into a state of shock. Although we all knew Uchiha Chen's power before, but who would have thought that Uchiha Chen was so strong that he could even fight against the 3 generations of Kazekage? This time, the battle between Sunagakure and Konoha was obviously won under the leadership of Chen. Who would have thought that a teenage boy would be so powerful? This is a miracle. The top management of Iwagakure was completely stunned, and even the 3 generations of Tsuchikage, who had always been calm, lost their sense. Iwagakure village is thousands of miles away. Surrounded by chakra-condensed earth walls and houses, this is a rock-style building. Inside the Tsuchikage building. Is this really something done by a 15 teenager? Seeing the content of the intelligence, Tsuchikage the 3rd generation couldn't help asking himself, sighing with emotion. Around the 3rd generation of Tsuchikage, Iwagakure's high-ranking people are sitting, among them the 4-tailed Jinchuriki column force that Tatsu had fought against. Laozi was standing there. Hearing the 3rd generation Tsuchikage say this, Laozi raised his eyebrows, remembering how fierce Chen was when he fought against Chen last time, and muttered, "That kid is just a monster, and it can't be viewed with common sense." This battle made all the original plans of our Iwagakure village have to be changed because of the appearance of this young man. Now the entire battlefield has changed. 3 generations of Tsuchikage sighed. Lord Tsuchikage, what should we do then? A senior Iwagakure voice trembled slightly and asked softly. 3rd generation Tsuchikage pondered for a while, and then pondered. The situation is such that we no longer have the upper hand, but Konoha has the chance to win. We are afraid that we can only have peace talks. Iwagakure executives were silent for a while. Will this ninja war really end with Konoha's victory? If the peace talks are like this, then let's talk about peace. Laozi hummed, thinking of the young man's appearance. His heart felt inexplicably cold, and he didn't want to fight Chen again. That mysterious boy actually has the power of the 6 Paths Immortal, who is the legendary figure who founded the ninja sect. Old Z, as a human Jinchuriki column force, communicates well with the 4 tails, so I believe in the 4 tails. Judge. In Laozi's heart, Chen is mysterious and powerful at this moment, casting a shadow over Laozi's heart. In fact, in the first fight against Chen, Laozi and Chen's strength should be equal, but after being frightened by the remarks of the 6 Paths Immortal from the 4-tailed Sun Wukong, Laozi's heart was overshadowed, and he never wanted to fight Chen again. Joke, when you play against someone with 6 Paths Immortal aura, God knows how many trump cards the other party has, and when he thinks of this, Laozi shudders. If Chen knew that Laozi had such an impression of him, he would definitely not know whether to laugh or cry. 3rd generation Tsuchikage nodded slowly. Well, if it really doesn't work, let's convene a 5 shadow meeting between the 5 major countries, and let all countries abide by the peace agreement and temporarily truce. 5 Shadow Talks. The eyes of the Iwagakure executives lit up. 5 Shadow Talks. Since the founding of the 5 kingdoms, only the first time a 5 Shadow Talks have been held when the original Hokage gave other 4 Shadow Centaurs, and it has never happened in decades after that. Could it be that the 5 Shadows Talks will also be held this time? The executives of Iwagakure couldn't help but think of Uchiha Chen. They all looked at each other and sighed. This boy really changed the pattern of the ninja world. Really a great guy. On the same day, all the major countries received this information, and they were all shocked and had a clear understanding of Chen. Almost on the desks of filmmakers from all over the world, there is a stack of thick documents, all of which are detailed information and introductions about Chen. There is no doubt that this time Chen really moved the 5 major countries with the trend of destroying the dry and pulling the rot. Ask for a reward for the monthly pass, and thank buy shoes for the 200 reward. S for monthly tickets. 218 leisure time, fully surrendered Kakuzu. Ask for a monthly pass. You've worked hard this time. Tsunade smiled. It's not hard, you're exhausted. You used the slug technique before. Chen rode. As soon as the war ended, Tsunade directly used the slug technique to heal all the wounded on the battlefield, consuming a lot of chakra, and this time was quite exhausting. Tsunade shook his head slightly. It's okay, my physique is different from ordinary people, and my resilience is very good. Tsunade is a good point to say. Tsunade is the granddaughter of the original Hokage Senju Hashirama, although she does not have a sage body like Senju Hashirama, but she also inherits some of the power of Senju Hashirama in her body. Of course, it should not be underestimated. I heard that the news of our alliance with Sunagakure has spread all over the ninja world. Now I'm afraid that even the shadows of the major countries will look at you with admiration. Tsunade whispered in Chen's ear. Actually, what I'm most curious about is Iwagakure's reaction. Chen smiled. Tsunade remembered Iwagakure's shriveled appearance, and immediately smiled. Iwagakure village will only choose peace talks this time. The war should really end. Chen rode. It's really unimaginable. When I think about it now, it's like, in a dream, you actually turned the whole battle situation by yourself. Tsunade said with emotion. In fact, it's not just Tsunade, the whole ninja world can't believe it. Chen smiled. This time it's not just me. You have a role to play, Tsunade, otherwise, it would be really hard for me to deal with the 3 generations of Kazekage alone. You are only 15 years old. At such an age, you can't find anyone with such strength in the entire ninja world. Tsunade rode. Chen blinked. You are reminding. Are you older than me? Humph. Chen and Tsunade joked for a while, time flew by, and a day passed in a blink of an eye. Since they have already contracted with the Sunagakure Village Alliance, Chen and the others can also leave the Country of Wind. Under such circumstances, Chen led the ninja troops to evacuated from Sunagakure Village one after another, returned to the defense line of the Land of Rain, and put pressure on Iwagakure Village. Doesn't know the actions of Iwagakure Village yet, so preparations on the battlefield are still necessary. The ninja troops withdrew in a mighty manner from Sunagakure Village and headed for the Land of Rain. Chen is in a relaxed mood. The overall situation has been decided. No matter how noisy Iwagakure is, he will not be able to make a big wave. Chen thought about it for a second, and suddenly thought of a person. Corner, both. Since Chen captured Zhao Du, and then sealed Zhao Du's chakra with the Kowloon Lock seal, Chen has not been in contact with Zhao Du again. Chen thought about it for a while, and asked Minato to help him find all the corners. Zhao Duo was so nervous when he heard Chen's summons. If it was said before that Zhao Du still had luck, then after seeing the battle between Chen and the 3 generations of Kazekage, Zhao Duo fell into a state of fear for Chen. By this young man made Zhao all fall into a panic. Coke. It is very clear that the great potential shown by the young man in front of him is not inferior to the original Hokage, or even surpassed. Zhao At this time, there is no idea of revenge at all, especially when he was hit by this boy's strange sealing technique. A large part of the chakra in his body disappeared inexplicably. It can be said that the current corner, Chen has completely surrendered. 219 If it's not a tiger, how can I keep it? Zhao all stood respectfully in front of Chen, and looked at Chen subconsciously, with a hint of fear in his eyes. Chen is very satisfied with Zhao Du's performance. What Chen needs is not Zhao Du's surrender, but Zhao Du's fear. To Chen, loyalty is not important. Chen has enough control over the corner, both. Chen looked at Zhao Du, the third Tomo's Sharingan in his eyes was clearly visible, reflecting Zhao Du's appearance. Zhao Du looked at Chen, and there was still a bit of fear in his eyes, especially at Sharingan of Shangchen, which reminded Zhao Du of a legendary existence that was as famous as the first Hokage in the ninja world. Uchiha Madara. The young Uchiha Chen's Sharingan in front of him is also the Sharingan of the legendary Uchiha clan. He is extremely terrifying and makes the corners shudder. I knew earlier that I wouldn't help Sunagakure to deal with Uchiha Chen, but now it's better. I've completely pitted myself. Sunagakure is simply a pig teammate. Zhao, all of them are full of slander in their hearts, and their eyes are cloudy. Yes, Lord Chen. Zhao, they all bowed slightly, very respectfully. People are under the eaves and have to bow their heads. I'll unlock some of the seals for you, and I need you to do one thing for me. Chen said lightly. Zhao, as soon as they heard it, my heart suddenly burst into joy. Chen actually agreed to help him unlock some of the seals. The strange 9 dragons lock seal makes Zhao completely puzzled, and now hearing Chen say this, Zhao Du is of course very excited. Chen saw Zhao Du's excited look, and didn't take it seriously, just approached Zhao Du's side. A light blue chakra appeared in Chen's palm, pressed it on Zhao Du's body, and Zhao Du suddenly felt his whole body. There was a burning pain and a scream, but his face showed joy, because he could feel that the chakra that he had been sealed was gradually recovering. After a while, the recovery of the chakra stopped, and some of the chakra was still sealed, but it was also released. Some seals were opened. Zhao, they all use chakra to perceive their own body, and find that he has recovered a part of his strength now, which should be enough to be called a quasi-shadow. Corner, they all look happy. Although not fully recovered, it is still good. Junkage is an absolute powerhouse in the entire ninja world. I created an organization called Akatsuki. From today, you are officially a member of Akatsuki. I have 3/3 disciples operating in the country of rain, you go and help them. Chen said lightly. Zhao all nodded honestly. Yes, Lord Chen. He agreed with his mouth. Zhao Duo was a little disapproving in his heart. No matter how strong Chen's disciples were, he would be around Chunin. He was just as strong as Chunin. Zhao Du was very upset. The author actually wants to fight a few little devils and let Zhao, they all complain very much. Looks like I don't want to. Chen smiled lightly, and Tomo's Sharingan stared straight at the corner, both. Zhao Duo shivered in his heart and couldn't help but look at Chen's Sharingan. The Sharingan turned, and a huge chakra flowed out. No, it's demonic illusion. Corner, they all secretly said something was wrong, it was the demonic illusion of Sharingan. But the corner, all has been unable to earn, to the depths of his body. In the demonic illusion space, the body seems to be fixed by wedges, all limbs are fixed by wedges and shackles, and the strength gradually declines, still being slaughtered by Chen. This is what demonic illusion is. Just a moment, Zhao, all were frightened. Chen appeared in front of Zhao Du, and said indifferently, this is my demonic illusion, the art of shackles. After opening Mangekyo Sharingan, Chen's demonic illusion ability has been enhanced again. In the original work, it was the ninjutsu that Itachi used to deal with Orochimaru, and even Orochimaru was defeated by this move. Although Orochimaru was in a weak state at the time of changing his body, it still proved the power of demonic illusion. Zhao, the whole body is in shackles, the cold sweat is falling, and the chakras of the whole body are ineffective, so they can only be slaughtered by Chen. Zhao, both now only have the strength of Quenying, but Chen has opened Mangekyo Sharingan, the difference between the two is self-evident. Zhao, do you think you can escape my control? If you are obedient, I can restore your strength in 10 years and help you unlock the seal. If you want to betray, I don't mind taking 5 hearts from you. Chen Sharingan Fishy Yuhi incomparably, looking at each other's corners, both. Zhao, there was a chill in his heart. He was taught such a lesson by Chen, so he immediately restrained that little thought, and nodded hastily, I know. Very good. Chen put away demonic illusion, and the surroundings immediately returned to normal. Zhao, only then did he escape from the illusion space. Once he left the illusion space, he knelt on one knee and fell to the ground, gasping for breath, sweat dripping down from his body, his face pale. Obviously, the means Chen just showed made Zhao, all deeply afraid. This is Sharingan Uchiha. Zhao, these words are echoing in my heart. This is the poison prepared by Tsunade, eat it, and I will detoxify you once every 6 months. Remember, don't think about betrayal, or you will end badly. Chen took out a 1 pill directly and stuffed it into Zhao Du's mouth. In order to control Kaku Du, Chen also specially asked Tsunade to prepare poison pills. However, Chen is very clear that the members of the Akatsuki are not the type that can be controlled with poison, so Chen Kai used demonic illusion to intimidate the Zhao Du. Let the Zhao Du surrender. Zhao, he was taking pills, and his heart was even more bitter. He knew that he was completely controlled by Chen. Chen's actions just now were telling him the consequences of his betrayal. You go down. Chen said lightly. Yes. Zhao, they all nodded bitterly and stepped back respectfully, their faces still pale. Kokaku, after they all left, Chen found Tsunade and explained to Tsunade what to do with Kakuzu, but Chen didn't plan to hide it from Tsunade. Tsunade kindly reminded Chen, Chen, I always think that Kakuzu has an evil personality, I'm afraid he is not the type that is easy to control. He is like a tiger, very dangerous, and may attack his master at any time. Chen smiled confidently, of course he knew Zhao Du's character, I have a way to make him not dare to betray. Besides, if it's not a fierce tiger, how can I keep it? Seeing Chen's confident smile, Tsunade's eyes lit up. Ask for a monthly pass, ask for a reward. 220 Chen to Minato. Brand new spiral pills. Ask for a monthly pass, ask for a reward. Tsunade's eyes were full of brilliance, and Chen's confident appearance made Tsunade's eyes lit up and admired it extremely. As expected of the light of the stars, he really has such confidence. Even the cage-level powerhouses were defeated by him, and even had to be driven by Chen. How could Tsunade not be amazed that Chen took Tsunade's hand, and the two smiled at each other, feeling even more tacit understanding. Tsunade smiled and said, this time the war is over, and we will be able to return to Konoha soon. I really don't know how much welcome and preferential treatment you will receive. Chen smiled slightly, but he didn't care much about being popular. Chen's reputation in Konoha was already at its peak. He was thinking about another thing. After returning to Konoha, he should think about marriage. Chen also mentioned this to Tsunade, but unfortunately Tsunade felt that the relationship between the two should not be exposed. Although there are many people who know about it on the battlefield, it is another thing to put this kind of thing on the table. Chen belongs to the Uchiha clan, while Tsunade belongs to the Senju clan. There are many contradictions between the two clans, and there is almost no possibility of combining them. And even Konoha executives will object, because the combined strength of Senju and Uchiha is too amazing. Danzo and others will definitely not want to see the combination of Chen and Tsunade. Therefore, Tsunade directly objected when Chen mentioned this matter. Tsunade would rather stand silently behind Chen, so as not to cause trouble to Chen. This moved Chen's heart, but he fell in love with Tsunade even more. Smelling the fragrance of the beauties around her, Chen felt like she was in a dream, but when the two of them had a good atmosphere, she didn't expect to be disturbed by a light bulb. Chen! An excited shout came, and when Chen saw it, it was Minato in a ninja suit. Minato's strength has improved more and more recently, and he has reached the level of quasi-shadow. Perhaps because of Chen's pressure on the battlefield, Minato's speed of progress is second only to Chen. The strength of the quasi-shadow, coupled with the cooperation of Hiraishin's technique, it can be said that Minato is now a first-class ninja in Konoha, worthy of being the fourth generation of Hokage in the future. What's wrong? Chen looked a little depressed and looked at this guy Minato with excitement. Minato couldn't wait to share with Chen. Chen, I created my own ninjutsu. It's a Rasengan move with Hiraishin, let's try it out. Chen saw Minato's excited appearance, but he was also interested. Okay. Seeing this, Tsunade was also interested, and she watched the match between Tatsu and Minato as a referee. Tatsu and Minato stood still and started using ninjutsu. The art of Hiraishin. I only see Minato throwing specially made kunai. On top of each of these kunai there are Hiraishin spells. Through Hiraishin spells, Minato can easily use flying. Hey Minato, your hard work is very powerful. Chen's heart moved, and he praised Minato with a faint smile. Minato smiled suddenly. Yes, I used your shuriken technique, which is a stunt, and the effect is not bad. Minato and Tatsu were previously known as Konoha, but he had a sense of competition and wanted to catch up with Tatsu, so he studied ninjutsu painstakingly. Not bad, but it's still far from my shuriken technique. Chen deftly dodged kunai, and his figure flashed slightly. Minato. With a smile, the corners of his mouth twitched, and he secretly said, Chen, this guy said it easily, but he didn't even think that the skills in his hands could be mastered by ordinary people. His ability to do this is already the limit. Okay. Rasengan. At this time, Minato's figure also used Hiraishin to instantly reach Chen's side, only to see Minato's hands chakra spinning, forming Rasengan. Rasengan rolled up the air, and Chen had already noticed it. Rasengan with both hands. Chen's heart moved slightly. The Rasengan with both hands was indeed better than the ordinary Rasengan, and its power was also unexpected. Chen still has a way to deal with this level of attack. The technique of instant body. Chen's figure flashed in an instant, but Minato seized this opportunity to rush forward and use the technique of Hiraishin to approach Chen again. When approaching Chen's surroundings, the Rasengan in both hands suddenly became larger, and the gathering airflow was even more violent. Hey! Chen saw that something was wrong. Minato was really creative, and he used Rasengan in various ways. I saw that the spiral airflow in Minato's hands skyrocketed in vain, and the power of the Rasengan increased, turning into an oversized Rasengan, and the power also increased sharply. Isn't this Big Ball Rasengan Naruto's strongest move before he realized Rasenshuriken? Chen secretly slandered that Minato actually researched Big Ball Rasengan ahead of time. He really deserves to be the true founder of Rasengan. Chen used the instant body technique again to avoid this blow, while Rasengan directly bombarded the place where Chen was standing just now. With a loud bang, two huge deep pits appeared. Although they were not comparable to Chen's Rasenshuriken, they were also not allowed. Peep. Not bad. Chen smiled aside. It was still easily escaped by you, Chen. Your instant technique is not inferior to my Hiraishin technique. Minato smiled warmly, but Chen was convinced. The two just had a superficial test, and of course they stopped fighting when they saw it. Chen smiled and said, you are very talented in Rasengan's ninjutsu. This move is very powerful. As long as it hits the enemy, it will be seriously injured even if it is almost dead. With your Hiraishin technique, the effect is very good. Chen can predict that as long as the enemy does not have a ninjutsu similar to absolute defense, once Hiraishin gets close, and then cooperates with this Big Ball Rasengan, it is simply a call of death. No way, I can't do it like Chen. you injected nature transformation into Rasengan to form futon, wind style. We can only make Rasengan bigger in form and increase its power. Minato said humbly. Chen curiously asked, does this trick have a name? Yes, how about I named it Rasengan Super Flash and Mighty Serial 8 Styles, it's a very handsome name. Minato said without thinking. Chen's mouth twitched. Minato is indeed a natural slob when it comes to naming. In the original book, the name of the move when this guy fought with Obito made Chen Dan hurt. Tsunade couldn't help but chuckle. Ah, isn't that a bad name? Why don't you call it Rasengan? How about the cool round dance and roar 8 poses? Hey, don't leave. Minato yelled, while Chen pulled Tsunade with a black line and walked away without looking back.